All right. So before we like get into it, for anyone that dares complain about Steven's audio quality, should realize that this is actually pretty phenomenal audio quality for halfway across the world. So, but
Did you just
welcome to the podcast, Steven.
cheers, dude?
Cheers.
I just had to stick it on charge then, didn't I? At the wrong time.
Yeah. Is that? I wonder if it might be. No, it's not Xbox. It probably doesn't work that way. Anyways, so I have a couple of things I kind of wanted to talk about because I've personally been listening to Andrew Tate. Yeah, just to clarify my position, like I'm no Andrew Tate fanboy. I only really found out about him peripherally like the last 2 weeks because I don't really do a whole lot on TikTok and YouTube Shorts or anything. But usually, like when I upload it and I start looking at mine, then I kind of like scroll a little bit, and I ran into him and like I could not get over how fucking awesome it is listening to this guy shit all over Aiden Ross for 3.5 hours straight, dude. It was fucking good. I was dying laughing at my tractor, bro. Like this guy's just shitting on him, man. It's fucking great.
He shits on anyone. That guy just has no filter.
Yeah. But before we get into that, we should probably talk about you a little bit. So you're Steven.
Well,
a father, gamer.
That's my middle name. Stephen is Matthew's my first name, but I like to be called Matt.
Oh, right. So Matt. Okay. Matthew.
Yeah. But you all know me as Smith.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Well, when you got a last name like Smith, I feel like you just have to go by Smith. You know?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Everyone still calls me that. But yeah,
and
no.
What do you do for a living?
I have just changed jobs. I was a delivery driver for a big delivery company, and it's not Amazon.
Not Amazon. All right.
And I'm now a gas man, so I work in the gas industry, mainly like propane and butane gases. I'm also a car valeter. I very good at cleaning cars, I must say.
Is that you guys must call it something different? We call it detailing.
Detail,
detail,
yeah. Detailing. When we say detailing, it's more the real fine work, like the hardcore stuff. I can do that, but it's not really. I'm more of a get a car that's filthy dirty and make it look really good again.
Oh, okay.
That sort of style. That's my forte. I can do all the other bits and bobs, but
you coming by Tennessee anytime soon?
I wish.
It'd be fun, man. Like I think it's awesome going to a very different culture. Going to Europe was a blast. So different though, you know? And I can only imagine as like a British man coming to fucking Kingsport, Tennessee, what that's probably like, you know? Or vice versa. Someone I'm not really like from here necessarily. I mean,
No.
I'm not even, I don't know why I said necessarily, not at all. I'm not from here. But I'm from Florida. But yeah, it's like moonshiners and fucking crack dealers and shit. So like, you know, I'm staying with family currently. And they live deep in the mountains, and it's great. Like the reason they live out there is because it was really cheap, the land, and they were able to purchase like a decent amount of land because it's so cheap out there. And but the whole way out there, it's nothing but moonshiners and crack dealers. It's fucking hilarious.
That is but
So
yeah,
are you riding it out like with this, or you do you have plans of anything else you want to go for, or yeah?
To be fair, I am pretty happy with how things are going at the minute. It's actually nice to feel appreciated. The job that I've got now is It's a lot easier than what I had before. The money's a little bit better. You know, you're not going to go. Not many people like to downgrade in life today. It's always you always want to try to come up in steps. But it's just the work's a lot better. It's more suited to me and myself and my family. So you know, it's sometimes you got to do changes in life when things are not going quite right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, man. And
Sometimes you don't realize it. Like when I was in my old job, I did like it, but there was a lot of bad negative things with it, and I didn't realize that it was sending me mentally in a downward spiral. Others would see it around me, but I didn't really see it myself until one day I kind of just, I don't know, just woke up and I was just like, what am I doing? Like, I need to get out of this. This is not good for me. And yeah, from that day, I changed my mind and was like, right, I'm going to find another job. And I gave myself till Christmas to get a new job. And within a month, I started at another place. I'm kind of one of these people that is, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it as
yeah,
much as it to the best of my ability, you know?
yeah, I feel that. One thing I liked about delivery, because I did delivery, the independence is nice because you get direction basically, and then you just
Mm,
go out on your own. I'm assuming
yeah,
unless you have like a partner with you or something.
no, I am on my own. It's a lot better because I don't have to do as many stops and all now, and I don't have to really do like in and out of the van every 5 seconds. Like my old job was like all the time. It was just relentless. So it's pretty cool because I'm one of these people that I can have a conversation myself. You know, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
I'm like singing and dancing while while I'm out and about. And just when you see someone, you just say hello and just be friendly. You know, just I'm a people person. I couldn't be sat in an office doing office work all day. That's just not me. I've got to be doing stuff.
yeah. Well, one second, let me take the sweater off.
I was gonna say it's probably really hot where you are, isn't it?
Ugh,
It's
fucking
pretty
America.
cold. It's pretty cold where we are at the minute.
Oh yeah, I bet it
Well,
is, man.
it's not like freezing just yet, but it's getting close to it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So getting into the Andrew Tate, right? And I don't like to just name drop. Okay, first of all, what is name dropping exactly? That's just when you say someone's name on your podcast to get attention, right?
Clout. You
Yeah,
basically trying to use their name for clout and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah. But I listen to a lot of podcasts, you know, like while I'm working and stuff. And so it's kind of hard not to talk about it. And he said something I find him really interesting, and I find some of his ideas really interesting. One of them being that, but I guess part of what made him go viral, at least by his own explanation on a podcast, was he made some video that said depression is not real. And he theorizes that depression is simply extreme selfishness, which I know sounds out there, but if you really think into it, one way to really pull you out of depression is to go do something nice for somebody, you know, to do
Mm.
something selfless, because, and then it just makes you feel good, you know. And he thinks that people that are depressed are self-obsessed. They're so caught up in how they feel and what, you know, it's they feel bad. And he even stated on a podcast that if you have kids and you kill yourself, you're not a man. Which I get where he's coming from, but you know, some of these harsh statements, it's like when you make these extreme harsh statements like that, you need to really be able to back that up. But I think he does. I don't think depression is simply extreme selfishness. And I know that there are people out there with chemical imbalances, although those are very few. Another point he makes is that, you know, he's so arrogant on there, but it's like he's unapologetically arrogant, which is so funny, you know.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, If I lived a fucking life like you, I'd be depressed too. And if you lived a life like me, you'd be fucking happy. If you woke up every morning sexy as fuck. Like, I just love this guy, man. He cracks me up. But he's right. Like a lot of times when you're depressed, it's not like you caught depression. It's like there's things in your life that are not, or I'm sorry, there are things in your life that are causing that depression. And if you were to fix those things or address them, then maybe you wouldn't be as depressed. But I was just kind of curious what you think in regards to what he said.
Well, what you just said then kind of hits the nail on the head because you're not just depressed for nothing. There's always a reason. There's something that's making that happen. So whether it be a job or a person or I don't know, a lot of it's down to money. Money's a big thing I find in life. That's the root of all evil because whether you've got it or not, you're either thinking about it and you need it. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, like I was feeling down. I wasn't feeling great, and then I realized that the key to make me happy, even though I had a good home life, got a wife, got a kid, I got good friends and everything, but there was this one thing that was just making me really like sad and down, depressed. Like, you know what I mean? That's how you feel, and then you get into this situation where that's all you think about. Like he says, you tend to just think about that one thing, and you forget about everything else around you, which is good. But if you can get rid of that one thing, or maybe it's multiple things, if you can start getting rid of the negativity in your life and filling that with positive stuff, joy, then yeah, you can overcome. And without, hopefully, without medication and all, because some people have to go down that road. I mean, it's a tough one because you don't know what the next person's going through and how hard they've had it, and it's easy for people will say it's easy for him to say that when he's got loads of money and he's got everything he ever wants and he can have anything he wants. So why would he be depressed? It's such a tough thing to talk about in so many ways because if you say something, there's going to be someone else that has an opinion, and that opinion will be different to someone else's or the same as someone else's, or someone will follow that other person's opinion, and then you get a rabbit effect, and everyone follows that bandwagon, and then they're all on that train, and then they're just causing a negative process that keeps going and going and going and going until it gets cut out. But you can't really no one can really go at the guy. I mean, he's just he does it for content. Let's be honest. He wouldn't be saying these things otherwise because he's got a camera in front of him. He's being goaded into saying these things by everyone because that's what people want. People want drama. They need something in their life that gives them like something to like laugh about or be negative about.
Yeah, I gotta say, initially, I was treating him primarily as entertainment because I didn't agree with some of what he was saying, and I don't. And we can get into that, but the way he just shit on Adin Ross, I honestly think those two should go make a podcast together or something, man. Just like have a fucking show where Tate just shits on Adin, or better yet, can we please put Adin Ross in the UFC and not as a fighter, but I want him to interview the fighters after the fight. Can you imagine him trying to do a post-fight interview, dude?
Well, they could do like a roast session where they just like roast each other.
He's pretty good at it. And I think a lot of it is selfish. And another thing he states that I find really interesting, because I've always had trouble with the fact that we're going to die. Like ever since I realized that till now, it's always bugged me. But something he said I thought was really interesting. And that's that we're all temporarily immortal. You have survived everything in your life up until this point. Nothing has killed you. You are immortal, but at some point you will die, which is what makes it temporary. And I think I think those two coupled together actually makes a pretty strong mental medication for you. If you were to look at it like, okay, yeah, so we're going to die. Get the fuck over it. All right. Quit being so fucking selfish. Get out there, get strong, get fit, live for your family, your friends, push them to be better, things like that. That type of shit, that's going to get you. I mean, I'm not saying it'll completely, it's not like a switch. It's never a switch where you're like, oh, depressed, not depressed. It's like you'll slowly move away from depression the more and more. Dr. Jordan Peterson, the clinical psychologist, he states that the more responsibility you can adopt in life, the more satisfied that you will be. He says that because happiness, in his opinion, is not the goal of life. Like, happiness is great and it's awesome while you have it and enjoy it as much as you can. But emotions, they move around like the wind. And what we really want as humans is meaning. And the way you can get meaning is by adopting responsibilities. And the more responsibilities you can adopt, the more meaning your life will have. And so I think those two ideas from Tate and the one idea from Dr. Peterson, I think that's the answer, man. It's just, I don't know how you snap out of it. Like, even if you conceptually understand something, you don't fully realize it at your core, like okay, I'm trying to think of an example. Okay. All right. If I were to tell you from the time you were a kid that if you were to touch the stove, it would burn you, you would understand. I mean, once you reached an age where you could understand, you'd understand, oh, that's really hot, I don't want to touch that. But you wouldn't get it until you actually touched it, burn yourself. Then anytime you look at it, you're like, it's almost like you can feel that burn again, like you don't want it because now you've experienced
it's like a trauma.
Yeah, you have to experience things to realize them completely, I feel.
Yeah, because if someone says no when you're younger, you tend to think, should I try this? Shouldn't I try it? You know what I mean? It's one of, no one likes to be told no, do they? So
No.
Especially as a kid, you've got to try everything. And that's when you think if you was to, like, they say don't go and climb that tree because you'll fall down, and you think, well, I'm going to go to climb that tree and I'm going to find out.
Oh, electricity, let me just stick my finger in there. We're fucking idiots, man, as people. How do we survive?
Exactly. It's like a test method. You're always testing yourself all the time. Even with just anything in life, even down to the simplest things of like your coffee or something, it's going to be hot, but you still take that first sip, even though it's literally just come out, and you're like, what? And you think, why do I do that? And you think, oh, I won't do that again, but you just do. Like, it's I always do it with pizza as well. Like, I love pizza. I'm a massive pizza fan. And it's like baking hot, and I go to eat it, and I stick my mouth in, I'm like, and it's like burnt all the inside of my mouth. And I'm like, why do I do this to myself? Why don't I just can't wait. I have to have it there and then.
No, I think this is just you, actually.
Got him.
But I'll tell you where I'm fucking retarded is short-term memory. I'm really bad at short-term memory. I don't fucking understand why. I have, like, jokes aside, like, I've seriously tried to figure out, is there something wrong with me? Like, how come I don't remember things? Like, what the hell? And it's weird because, like, certain things I'll recall like that, no problem. Other things I barely recall it, and then other things I'm totally when the hell did you say that? Like, I don't know. So but yeah, I'm a fucking retard at short term.
And I feel you there, because I get this with my wife all the time. We literally could have a conversation in the car, let's say we're in a car, we're having a conversation, she'll tell me something, and listened to her, I've remembered it. When we're going down the road and someone could pull out in front of me or something could happen, and then I've completely forgot what she said. Like your brain just it takes it in, but how my brain works is if someone else gets in the way, it clogs that, and then I completely forget. And then all of a sudden, like later on, I'll remember it again, but it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've had that with this podcast. And sometimes I wonder if this podcast is actually like working out for your brain. And I'm hoping that's true. And like I'm improving my recall and stuff. Because you use a lot of short-term memory recall in a podcast. You know, like you recall things that you said earlier and shit like that. But dude, sometimes I'll completely lose my point. And I've learned to not like just say fuck it. So I try to like find it again, but most of the time I fail. And then it comes back later when it's not even relevant. And I'm, God, fuck, dude. They're slippery. Ideas are slippery, man. I can't hold on to them. They just fucking go everywhere. You know? Yeah.
That's why it's always good to carry a pen and piece of paper with you so you can write it down.
That is very, very true. That's probably the most useful tool I have is a pen and paper. Yeah. Because if I have a reminder, or if I have something small that kind of like reminds me of it, I can instantly recall the whole thing. It's just if I don't have that reminder, it even causes problems with my ex-girlfriend. She because she like, are you not even listening to me? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm listening to you. It's just you gotta, because she'll tell me about something she told me the other day. Like, okay, yeah, but I need more. You can't just be like telling me some shit and expect me to remember what you're talking about. I'm dumb. I need more. I need you to kind of explain at least 20% of what you told me the other day. And then I'll remember the other 80, but you need to give me 20. I can't work with 10. I'm fucking dumb, man. I gotta work with what I got, you know?
He's still in caveman mode.
Yeah, dude.
You haven't leveled up yet.
What part of the United Kingdom are you in?
I am in the southwest. I'm the furthest down you can go, pretty much. I'm right on the seafront, pretty much in Cornwall. Like people down here would call it tractor land, where we're farmers.
Oh, wait, you're not Welsh, right?
No, that's I have to go over a bridge to get to Wales.
See, those Welsh people would fit in really well out here in Kingsport. Because I'm Welsh or part Welsh. But
I think we're about 2 to 3 hours away from Wales. I think it is. I could be wrong, but it is. You have to go up and then take a left. I know that.
So did each country have its own kingdom and everything, and then at some point they decided to create the UK? Like, how, I don't know the history of the UK actually and how that came to be.
I'd love to say I'd know the same, but I don't. I mean, I know you got Scotland. Scotland's like the furthest north, and they obviously very proud of their country. And then you got the Irish, but then you got Ireland, and then you got Northern Ireland. They've sort of segregated themselves, don't they? And then you got Wales, but we're all connected, but we all want to be a part of our own people. Let's say.
In Ireland, that's where they're fucked up because they got that mentality, but they have both countries on the same piece of land, right?
Mm.
And that's where all that drama comes from. We should make a wall.
Get Trump over there.
Yeah, they're dramatic, man. Just Noble and Max, listening to them go at it. I feel like Ireland is like the holdouts, though, because think about it. I get it. Half your country were a bunch of bitches and they jumped ship and went over to the UK, but like, come on, man. Like, that's where all the fun is. Like, everyone's fucking there already. Like, what are you doing? Why are you out here by yourself, man? Like, really? You don't think you need to be in a bigger group? Like,
yeah.
But I guess not.
No. Oh no.
I wonder how the United States would have turned out if we weren't the United States. Like if other countries were formed here instead of, one. I mean, obviously we got Canada, Mexico, but like if
Mm.
instead of the US, we were like 3 or 4 different countries,
Oh yeah, like what, like how we would be like spread out.
Yeah, people
Because
think
obviously
about like
America's
Germany.
massive, isn't it?
Yeah, people think about Germany and like what it would have been like if they had won. What about us if we hadn't, or if we weren't as big as we are now? Like what would
Mm.
the world look like?
Yeah. Yeah, like imagine they would, America was like America and they had like you maybe just a few states rather than as many states as you had, and then some of that land would be called completely something else. And
Yeah.
it's his own country. But yeah,
What do
that
you think
is
about the idea of people? Um, okay, what do you think about the idea that no one should get to own land because land belongs to nature and everyone should just get to use it as much as they want?
but if that was the case, then people could just go anywhere and do anything they want, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Which would just cause like mass killings.
No, I don't agree with the idea either. I just think it's an
Yeah,
interesting one. Yeah.
I do believe that certain lands should be protected for obvious reasons, like like reservoirs and forests and stuff like that, because we need these things. But they're already protected anyway, in a sense. It's just some people that will go and destroy it and stuff like that, which is some people are just crazy like that. They just don't think of others. They only think about themselves, or they have some sort of agenda that they're going to be they want to follow. You know,
Yeah.
that everyone wants to be a part of something these days, just so they can say that they are somebody. But yeah, if they would just believe in themselves in the first place, they can be somebody without following others. They can just do their own thing, and then they instead of following, you could be a leader, and then but the people that would then follow you, you don't want them to follow you. You want them to be on the same level as you. So you all have an opinion. You're all one, rather than someone that leads the way and everyone just does what that person says. Going back to Andrew Tate, he's got such a big following now that people will just listen to what he says and they'll do as he says,
Yeah.
because he's such a powerful figure. That's how all these world leaders do what they do, because people just get on the board of it and think they're part of something, but you're just basically a pawn on a chessboard.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's where I start to um where I'm no longer in line with his way of thinking, particularly when it comes to women. So I don't think there's anything wrong with a man and a woman deciding, hey, this is the kind of relationship we want to have. These are the
Mm-hmm.
rules for our relationship. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I know that, or I'm sure that, you know, him and all of his wives have had those conversations. But personally, I do feel that a monogamous relationship is what we're most comfortable with. Although he does make some pretty damn good arguments for the opposite. So I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really see myself wanting 20 women in the house, you know.
Mm.
I think I would just want one person, and I'd want, and for me it's like I want her to feel special. Like I want her to know that she's the only one for me. But I also
Mm.
totally get what Andrew Tate's saying when he's talking about like it is different. So when a man fucks a woman and a woman fucks a man, it's different. It's not like
Mm.
I can go fuck a prostitute and have absolutely no feelings towards her and never even know her name or nothing. I could just know nothing about her and be fine with that and just enjoy the physical pleasure of sex and then move on and never think about it again, really. But with women, they're much more about connection, you know, so like they would feel things emotionally during sex. And I think that's true. I don't think that's sexist. I think that's reality. Like we're two different, you know, genders. We're different, you know?
Yeah.
So I get what he's saying that like he can go fuck a bunch of women or have you know, and it'd be okay. But if she goes and cheats on someone, that's something different because she actually felt something towards them. It wasn't just physical pleasure. That's his argument. There's definitely women out there that would disagree and say, yo, I could fuck like 20 dudes and never feel anything. But I don't know, man. I don't really know what the correct way of being is when it comes to marriage because polyamory, um, open marriages. Yeah, I was raised traditional and you know, like where just you do the normal thing and just marry someone. But
I'm one of these where I think you should just do what you want to do. Like how you want to get married, you should do it your way because then if it goes right, that's on the two of you. If it goes wrong, then you've only got yourselves to blame for it. You haven't got anyone else's saying, or you're not part of anything else. You've done it the way you want to do it, so it's special to you too. And if someone wants more than one wife, then and the women, if they're happy with that, then uh, that's down to them. I mean, I wouldn't do that myself personally. I'm dedicated to one woman and one woman only. Um, I think it's kind of greedy in a sense because do all these women want him for him? Like, and does he really want them to be like another man would probably want that woman like how I would want my wife, but
yeah,
he doesn't. They're just I don't really know. Like, does he can't say he loves them all the same, can he? He must have a different connection with each one, but it's just I don't know how he can just how he's even got the time for that many women. Like,
yeah. I think I messed up. I think he said he wanted 20 sons, but he definitely has multiple wives. I don't know that many though.
yeah, I know, but still,
Yeah.
e- even multiple, even it's two. You know what I mean? It's like it's just I, me personally, it's you you find that person you wanna spend the rest of your life with, and when you get married to them, and if times get tough, it's communication. Communication is the biggest thing in a marriage. It's key. It's key to any relationship, let alone a marriage. And if you can talk to each other about your problems, you you will overcome things because a lot of people don't. They'll just argue and argue and argue to the point that one person they'll either just had enough and they'll leave, or someone else will come into their life that will show them affection and all, and then they'll think, well, I'm not getting at this place, and that's how people start cheating and stuff.
Yeah.
And but how I do it with my wife and we do it is we just if if things are not going right, we will sit and chat to each other. It it's not always good. Sometimes we'll argue, like any marriage. But you you just have to get that anger out of the way and the upsetness out of the way, and then look at each other as adults and go, right, what's next? What do we need to do to make this work? And you just overcome these things, and then you just love each other more for it because you have that much respect for each other. Like you need to be able to respect the person you're with. You need to be able to love the person you're with. I also find that me personally, you have to be like, you do have to be attracted to the person as well. Like a lot of people
Oh yeah,
say,
of course.
oh, it's not about the looks and stuff like that.
You know who
It
says
is,
that?
you know?
You know who says that? Fucking ugly people. That's who says that. Makes sense they'd say it, right? Like, yeah, hey, just so you know, beautiful person, beauty doesn't matter. Okay. It's all about what's up here. Please excuse my 300 pounds of fat.
But there'll be someone out there that will love that person.
I mean, that's
That
true.
that that's life. It's just there's
But
someone out there
I
that
do
will want
think
that one.
that you should improve yourself. And by improving yourself, you'll become attractive to other people that, you know, are better. Not
Yeah.
better like inherently as like obviously inherently as a human, we're all equal, but like someone
Mm,
that will make your life better than what you had access to previously because you've chosen to take the steps necessary to improve yourself. You're now going to all the places that people that want to improve themselves are going to. You're going to the gym, you're going
mm,
to college or whatever. You're going to, I don't know, the Whole Foods grocery store to get healthy food. Like you're running into people that are also doing the same thing, and then
mm,
yeah, but I do think, like, while I agree that everyone should get to do what they feel, what they want to do in their relationship, I think it is kind of dangerous, though, to tell people to just, hey, if it works out or if you're doing what you want to do, then by all means, because, if you get into a tough relationship because of, like, let's say that you build this relationship for hedonistic reasons, selfish, greedy, like you were saying, where you want all the fucking puss, right? Like you want all the sex, you want all the physical pleasure. It happened.
mm.
What was I saying right before that?
The brain fart. All the puss.
Yeah, you get all the puss. What was before that? Oh yeah, we disagree. Okay. Yeah, all right. So the only thing the reason that I would disagree with that to me would just be because if you get into that tough relationship for those, selfish reasons, and you get 15 years deep into it before you realize that you actually wanted something more wholesome, like a traditional relationship with another person, you will never get
Mm,
those 15 years back. When maybe if someone was a little bit confrontational or not afraid to kind of like tell you that you're a knucklehead, then maybe you wouldn't have made that decision. It would have made you, or maybe it would have just pushed you right into it. I don't know, but
mm. Yeah, I get that.
yeah, I don't know. I want one wife, and I think I want 3 or 4 kids. I also don't care if they're boys and girls. I'd like them to be kind of balanced out. I think like 2 boys, 2 girls, or something. But
Yeah. Most people say they just want a boy and a girl, don't they? But if you're one of these people that do want multiple kids, yeah, they're normally
yeah,
happy with a mixture bunch.
yeah, I don't want like um
4 boys.
yeah, I don't like Andrew Tate says he wants 20 sons, and he's talking
Mm,
about, so he's just gonna keep popping them out until he gets 20 of them, right? But I don't know, man. I like, how could you possibly have enough time to properly, have those conversations with each one of them and work through all their dumb ideas in their young little fucking heads? Like how that takes time, like most people, especially if you work an 8-hour job. I mean, you got like time for maybe one, maybe two,
yeah.
where you can take them to breakfast and talk to them and stuff. But like 20, man, I feel like you'd lose control. You wouldn't have the ability to influence them the way you'd want to, It'd just be a bunch of fucking hooligans running around tearing shit up.
Mm,
And that
yeah,
many,
that's
one of
a
them's
lot
bound
in
to
it.
die. If you have 20 kids, or he says
Mhm.
20 sons, so it probably takes 30 kids to get there, at least. If you have 30 kids, one of them is going to kick it. at some point. Something's gonna happen to one of them.
Mm.
There's just too many, like numbers wise. Like it has to happen, right? And then you're
And
gonna
you
deal
couldn't-
with that. You're gonna have to live with
Yeah,
that for
you
what? So
couldn't
you
do
got
that.
20 sons?
You couldn't do that of one woman either, because the time logic of it would be. Well, I don't know. It probably could, to be fair, but
No, that's why he wants multiple wives. So he
yeah,
can so he can fuck like one, and he's like, well, if you're gonna take 9 months.
yeah, time's money.
Yeah.
That goes back to like the old Tudor days back in that they would have like a king would have a wife, but he'd have multiple mistresses to have babies for him, and hopefully they were sons, so they could live their name.
Yeah.
Basically, people just want their name to live on. That you're building that. Like,
Legacy.
they're like That's the word there, legacy.
Yeah.
You're building your legacy, so you start that legacy. There's going to be loads of little Tates building their legacies, and that's how he wants it, just to build like his own empire.
Yeah. Well, people hate him for his unapologetic arrogance. That's part of why I love him. Like, I'm not saying I just for some reason I like unapologetically arrogant people. I'm not saying that I think that that's okay, and I'm not saying that that's the correct way of behaving. I don't. I think it's much better to be humble and nice, but capable of shit, you know. But
Yeah.
I still like that personality. That shit just cracks me up, man. He's so fun. He's talking about his dad. He's like, you know, my dad told me, he's like, I'm not giving you any money. I'm not gonna give you anything. You know, my dad was an alcoholic. He's broke and shit. He's like, but I'm giving you your last name. That's all you fucking need. And he said that like you go to school and he'd like do really good on the SATs or whatever in 6th grade, and they bump him up 2 grades. And he'd tell his dad, and he'd be like, well, yeah, you're Tate. I'm like, duh. It's like, this motherfucker, bro.
His dad's a legend as well.
Yeah.
The thing is, he wouldn't have got as far as he's got without that attitude. Like that is him. Like, you take that away from him, he isn't that confident guy that everyone sees. Like, he has to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah, you're right.
That
Or what
is
about Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
Like, and the thing is, unapologetically arrogant, but still likable. Like because like in his mind, yeah, he's unapologetically arrogant, and he's completely full of himself. But he genuinely believes what he is doing is improving the world. He is trying to help people. You know, he's being rude and confrontational and destructive because he wants to rip apart all your bullshit arguments and give you what he believes is the truth. So in him, he's actually a very positive character. He's and if you really listen to what he's telling people to do, I know he's rough around the edges, but the guy's not that fucking horrible. I mean, like, yeah, you should go to church. But wait, you're gonna call him a piece of shit for that? Like, you know, you should not lie. You should not have meaningless sex. You should live your life in an honorable way. Like, I mean, these are good things he's pushing. It's just he's so unapologetically arrogant and rough around the edges and shit that anyone on, like, I guess the left or whatever that isn't used to that kind of a person would just immediately get rubbed off and probably attack him, you know?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure he'd love.
Yeah, because for him, like, anything spoken about his name is good publicity, isn't it? Bad publicity is good publicity.
I mean, shit, we're riding on his coattails right now, just talking about him for fucking an hour.
He doesn't. It doesn't bother him whether you say something nice about him or bad about him, because at the end of the day, he doesn't care about you anyway. So
yeah, that's part of why I didn't feel bad at all for Aiden, because it had like 3.5 million views on YouTube alone. So I'm like, that guy got paid for that shit, man. He got paid, bro.
Someone can talk shit about me for 3 hours. If I'm getting paid, man, I'm getting paid. It don't bother me.
Andrew, yeah. And that was he was behaving that way. Why do I keep saying particularly? He was behaving that way on the Aiden Ross show, but I haven't really seen him behave that way. I mean, he's his normal, self, of course, but he's not attacking the hosts on some of these other shows that I've seen where they're not Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross is such a little knucklehead, man. He cracks me the hell up. He's so 2022, you know, like I never even knew who he was till I saw him get shit on TikTok. Or I wasn't on TikTok. I don't really use TikTok. I was on YouTube Shorts, and he's just getting fucking shit on by Tate, and it was so good.
Because Aiden Ross he's a streamer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's some type of Twitch streamer.
Dark-haired chap, quite short.
Yeah.
And he got somewhat viral because one of the guys, he put a beat on, and the guy was I don't give a fuck about you, and they just keep going, and it just blew up. I can't think of the guy's name, but that was on Aiden Ross's show. That was good.
Yeah, Aiden Ross is pretty funny, man. I haven't watched anything else from him, like, at all. But and I think Aiden Ross is playing a character, man. I don't feel like he's really that dumb. I think he's playing dumb because that's what people get entertained by, you know.
Yeah, that's the way he makes his cheddar, isn't it?
Yeah, because he'll ask Tate some dumbass questions, man. I fucking love it when he does. He'll be like, hey, Tate, so do you take showers, bro? Like, what? What kind of a question is that, dude? So fucking the Tate, of course. Sunglasses, no shirt. What? Yeah, of course I take showers.
It's because to take fucking showers. Who is this guy? What do you think to Tate fighting potentially Jake Paul?
This is the first UFC fight I'm going to purchase.
Will it be a
so
UFC
excited.
or will it be boxing?
Right. Sorry. Yeah, it's not going to be UFC. It'll be a boxing match.
Mm.
This will be the first fight I'm going to buy, and it'll be the first fight that I'm going to be passionate about because I'm not someone that really watches sports. I've tried because I'd love to be in it. I'd love to be part of the group and enjoy watching a fucking football game or some shit. But like, I just don't get it, man. Fighting, I can kind of watch because, you know, I'm not that good at it, but I do jiu-jitsu and shit. And so it's a little fun to watch. But, dude, he's going to fucking murder him. You don't think?
I don't know. This whole Jake Paul thing I just don't get it. Like I've watched every fight. I watch a lot of his stuff and his brother. And obviously I'm a big follower of KSI because he's British like I am. Well, I don't even think he's British, but he lives in England.
I've heard that name, but isn't that a clan name on Xbox?
No, KSI, he beat Logan Paul, didn't he, in the boxing match?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, KSI is like the number one YouTuber. Everyone wants to fight KSI.
Oh, I did not realize that.
And Jake Paul, he's climbed up the ladder and now he's fighting big names. And then now Tate's name's been put into it because of his fighting history and background, and because he's got lots of clout, and it just makes loads of money. Because at the end of the day, these guys are making more money than your average boxer, professional boxer. They're selling out these places, getting loads of money from it. I mean, I literally, before we started this podcast, I just finished the Tyson Fury, Derek Chisora fight that was live at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. And that was for the world heavyweight title. And Tyson won. I knew he would. He's my favorite fighter. Yeah, they call him the Gypsy King. You should look him up. He's an absolute beast. And it's only people like him and a few other big names that actually sort of make that same money as someone like Jake Paul would, who's only actually been in the scene like the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And then now he's calling out everyone, and to think that he might be fighting, like no one a few years ago, no one would have thought Andrew Tate could be fighting Jake Paul. Like, this is how weird this world is. It's just crazy. I mean, Floyd Mayweather fought Deji, which is KSI's brother. Deji's lost all of his fights bar one, and then he gets to fight Floyd Mayweather, who's like 50-0. Like, why is this person getting that chance? I just, it's all because of money and like how many followers and stuff you've got. Like, people
well,
don't
that's
seem
part of why Tate's like, not to keep referencing this guy, I've just been fucking listening to him, but that's why he is pissed off at Jake Paul, from what I understand. He thinks that, or he's explaining like how it is as a fighter. He's saying that like even people that you'd be able to name off of from the UFC are broke as shit. Like they
yeah.
It's a horrible career path, and it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to ever make a penny from it. And so it pisses him off that Jake Paul, just because he was, some YouTuber guy, gets all this, attention, this money, and now he gets to go to those big fights. But he's convinced that Jake Paul is nobody. He says that the only reason that Jake Paul knows how to box is because for the past 3 years, he's been spending lots and lots and lots of money on the best training that this planet has to offer when it comes to boxing. And so
totally.
so that's why he's capable. He said, I'm not saying he doesn't know how to box. Guy knows how to box, but the reason he is because he's already rich. He's not like some YouTuber. Like this guy spends a lot of and he has all the time in the world to practice.
Pays to win.
Yeah. Pay to win, baby. But yeah, so that's what he thinks, but he's saying that they're also getting, into a group and having these conversations. They will strategize like, okay, all right. So I'm not into the fighting world. I don't know the names. I don't know the people, but okay, let's just say that he fights fucking Billy. That's the name of this world champion UFC fighter that he's going to fight, is Billy. And Billy, the fucking UFC guy or whatever, has a really strong wrestling background. And so Jake Paul talks mad shit and like attacks him almost. It's almost like a war, like he's fucking attacking on the internet and giving this guy very few options but to accept his offer of a fight. And Jake Paul, gets him into a boxing ring and fights someone in a way that attacks their weakness. Like this guy was not a strong boxer. He was a strong wrestler. Jake Paul's a strong boxer. So they're picking these opponents strategically.
Yeah.
And they're trying to sell out stadiums and make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, he did that with Ben Askren. Ben Askren was a UFC fighter. I believe he was retired, but he was known for wrestling. He was a grappler. That was his forte.
Yeah.
Jake goes in there. This guy's retired. Jake's like, I'd like to say at least 10 years younger, at least. Goes in there, beats the shit out of him. Of course he's going to. He's fitter than him. Jake had been training longer than him in the boxing scene, not fighting in general. And he's fighting someone who's a wrestler. So he smashes him. And then they put him against Tyron Woodley, who is an ex-UFC fighter. He wasn't a boxer, he was a UFC fighter. So he's used to kicking, he's used to punching, he's used to grappling. That's all he does. But when you go into a boxing ring, it's all with your fist and your movement and your footwork.
Yeah.
So Tyron Woodley had to change his whole fighting style and switch it across. So that's why it made it hard. And not to mention he was, I don't know, he's like 40-year-old man, like retired. And then Jake beats him twice. And then they put him up against Anderson Silva, who's like one of the all-time greats in the UFC, who's not really a boxer, but he's retired. Well, he's not really retired. He's still fighting, but does he really need to be fighting at that age?
Like, it's a shame, man. It's a shame because these guys,
enough?
These guys, man, they work their fucking asses off, and like they sacrifice so much. They literally sacrifice their mental capacity when they're older because they get so much, they sustain so much brain damage. And I know you have these very rare exceptions of people that just like seem to never get hit, but those are very rare. You know, most people have a really, especially in boxing. And like, dude, you're that old, you did that many fights, you finally got some fucking money for all that fucking shit you went through. And you don't have any obligation to go fight this guy that's trying to provoke you for money and stuff and set the situation up so only he can win. You know, like you don't, I feel like they have that pressure, or they feel like that, like, you know, if I'm a bitch if I don't go. It's like, you're not a bitch, bro. You're not, man. You fucking
you're a legend.
Yeah, you're a legend. Go enjoy the rest of your life, man. Like,
the reason they do it is because they know that one payday he will give them is more than they've earned in their entire career, nearly.
I don't think it's that, though. I don't think it's that. Maybe it is. Okay, maybe it is. And I don't know UFC, or I don't know why I keep calling all fighting UFC, but that shows you how much I don't know. But no, man, I think it's just like, to be one of those guys, one of those UFC guys, or damn it, I did it again. One of those boxing guys, one of those kickbox, whatever. You have to be so disciplined, like, and you have to condition your mind and your body to, like, to be a fighter. You know, you have to be a fighter. You have to want to go out and fight, man. You like, and so when some little punk ass kid on the fucking internet that's, you know, got a shit ton of money and has trained for 3 years, granted, that's fair, he's trained for 3 years, but when he fucking comes at you like that, you're like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care who he's fought. I'll beat the shit out of this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the mentality. Maybe not so naive and dumb, because they're not dumb. They're real with themselves. They know their strengths and weaknesses and shit. But
yeah, it's a tough one, because do you not think in the back of their head they're thinking, if I lose to this guy, my whole entire career, I've beaten everyone that's stood in front of me pretty much. And then I'm getting this young lad, pretty boy from YouTube, who's going to give me a big pay packet, but he could embarrass me.
Yeah.
Is it worth that risk? Like, I don't know. But then it kind of is worth that risk, because now he's sort of built up this reputation that people are now not doubting him anymore. They're now starting to think, you know, he's pretty credible. So if he was to get beat by him, it's not as bad now to what it was before.
He's recognized by, like, Joe Rogan, you know, just to throw other famous people out there on this podcast. But no, Joe Rogan recognizes him as a fighter. I've heard him talk about it. And I mean, he's like a fucking commentator in the UFC. And
but he's seen it all, hasn't
he? Yeah, granted. Okay, so like, he made his money legit. Like, you know, he's a fucking Disney kid, whatever. Made the money, and then he's paying for the training. And so I don't think he's like privileged or like, you know, whatever. But I think that he is respectable in the sense that he has worked very, very hard to become as good as he is at boxing. That part is very respectable. Yeah.
He's smart, man. That guy's smart. He knows,
and he's smart. You should also respect how smart he is, because he's been able to climb his way all the way to the top in a very short period. But he didn't necessarily go through the same process everyone else had to. It's just different, you know? Never would have thought it, though.
You see a lot of the famous, don't you? They some get to the top and stay there, and they sort of kind of stay there for many, many years. And there's some that will get really fast fame, and then you never see them again. They just dip straight off.
I think it has something to do with investment. Like,
they're spending too much money on stuff they don't really need just to try and flex, and then they're not actually buying stuff that they should, or save or invest into stuff.
No, not that necessarily. I mean, more from the audience. Like, for example, I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, you know. That's because he's a really good host and he makes some great content, and it's really interesting. but it took
Mm.
him a long time to get to the point where he was skilled enough to do all of that. And and through those years, you kind of watch him improve, and he's providing something in exchange for your time, I guess. Like he's providing the entertainment because he has a stimulating conversation with his guest.
Mm.
And that's what keeps him famous, is because he keeps producing the things that made him famous to begin with. If you're just
Mm.
that "Cash Me Outside, How About That" girl from Dr. Phil, you have that one moment, but how many times can you repeat that? You can't,
I'm
you
an
just have that one
island
moment.
boy.
Yo, apparently she dominates OnlyFans. Like she makes a fuck ton of money off of OnlyFans.
And she does music still as well.
I think it's a little weird if you were subscribed to her though on OnlyFans, because like you saw her as a kid on the show, and now
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
jerking off to her. It's kind of weird.
I don't have OnlyFans. I don't go on there, but I have seen. I did. Do you know? It's people like her, and there's other people from like back in the day. Sometimes I like to see what they're doing now,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I will go through everything they've done because they had like a big impact of your life for that small period of time. Because
Yeah.
you'd see it everywhere, wouldn't you? Like when the Island Boys, when they first popped up, I started watching all their videos. I was like sort of obsessed in a way, and then they just fell off. But I still look now every now and then just to see if they're still doing something because you kind of got attached to them in a sense because they were the hot thing at that minute in time. You just want to see if they have done well or it was just a one-off thing.
Who are they then? What do they do exactly?
Well, they're American, um, I believe. Yeah, I'm
I've
pretty
seen
sure they're
them. I
American.
know kind of like
But the funny hair and tattoos all
so
over their
they're
face.
artists, right? Like
They,
musicians.
yeah, I mean, their music's not great
What
at
do they
all, really,
do? Like why do people go crazy about them?
because of the video. I mean, it's weird because they were like they did this video. They thought that they were the boys, you know. They thought they were cool,
Yeah.
but really, people just were laughing at them. They found them funny, and then people were making videos pretending to be them, but taking the Mickey out of them. So they made money for people making fun out of them. So
Really?
Who's actually laughing? They're getting
Yeah.
paid because someone else will make a video about them and take the Mickey out of them.
Well, that's the thing about Aiden Ross, right? Like, who's really laughing? That guy's getting paid fucking bank, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people's fame come from that. You know, how many people were, to catch me outside, Baha Baby or whatever she's called. Everyone was taking the mick out of her. Everyone just thought it was funny, like, and then she thought, I can use this to my advantage, you know. And then people were booking her to go to a nightclub and just say that on the mic. She'd get paid to go to a nightclub or something and just say, "Catch me outside." How about that? And she'd be paid for it. I mean, it's just crazy.
Different world, man, than like say 200 years ago.
You think her whole life changed just on that one moment because she was on that she was on that show for being a bad teen or something, wasn't it? It's something to do with her behavior or something. Her
Yeah, I
mum couldn't
guess.
hand,
Yeah.
her mum couldn't deal with her, and then she basically offers the host outside for a fight.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's all over the internet and she's got loads of money.
Yeah.
And now she's doing OnlyFans. I mean,
My roommate, while I was in Italy, he paid the Island Boys, I think it was $250 to wish his wife a happy birthday. And so
oh, that's
and they did it. They fucking did it. They recorded a little video and they're like, "Happy birthday," whatever her name was, I forgot. It was fucking
yeah.
hilarious, man, And she loved it because
That,
she loves the Island Boys, So
that,
like she thought it
but
was awesome.
that's the thing. Someone actually come up with that idea one day, and now it's like a massive thing. You can just pay money to get someone famous or whatever, just to wish your friend or mum or dad a happy birthday, or even yourself. It's
Yeah.
it's a way of doing it without actually going to see him at a concert or a gig or a festival or something. So it's like I've not done it myself personally, but as soon as you said that, then I was like, yeah, I've seen it advertised and stuff, and they're always on TikTok going, oh, if you want to shout out or anything, just hit us up in the DMs, like.
Yeah.
Then it's like, then you find out how much you have to actually pay, and you're like, oh my god.
Well, I try to sometimes I look into like these people. Like I'll listen to a podcast and like actually be interested in it, and I'll try to find a way to contact the host. And I understand you can't just put a fucking method out there of how to contact you, unless you're me and you only have 22 subscribers. But like if you actually have like a following, you're just gonna get spammed. You're never gonna actually be able to get through it all. But how do you get to like if they don't make their contact information available because of that, well, how do you ever get in contact with them? Like Joe Rogan,
You have
right?
to
He has
you have
all
to hit
these
them up in the
fucking
DMs.
yeah. But Joe has like all these fucking people coming on. How the fuck's he getting in contact with some of these? I'm sure he's famous
Because
now.
he doesn't
Yeah.
have to, does it? People do that for him. He'll have people running his Instagram accounts or his Twitter accounts and
Yeah,
stuff like that,
probably.
checking it. And it's one of them where if it hasn't got a blue tick or it isn't verified, they ain't looking at it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
why would he? Why would he? Like it could be any old person. At least if it's verified, it's kind of like you can look that person up online. It's not like someone can
Yeah.
look you up online or look me up online. They ain't really gonna find much, are they? But if you was to type in The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, you're gonna find everything. Then you're then gonna be like, oh right, this person's messaged me. Yeah, I'm gonna reply to that because that might actually make me more money, or that
Yeah.
person's interesting to me,
Yeah.
and that's how it is. It's like a
Can
domino
anyone
effect.
get the stupid little check mark?
Uh, to be verified, you need to have a certain amount of followers, I believe.
Is that what it is? Okay.
I think so, yeah. And then obviously, if you're like, e- even like some of the smaller people that aren't as famous, they can get verified because I believe you're on TV and stuff, and maybe I think you can like. There's got to be a way you must have to email Twitter or Instagram or whatever and say, look, this is me, blah blah blah, and they'll do like a check on you, and then
Mm.
if they think you're good enough, then they'll give you the little.
See, it doesn't the check mark though, that just means like, hey, this is actually this guy, right?
Yes, but it also gives you that clout status. Like if you've got a
Yeah.
tick,
It's so
you're a
stupid.
somebody.
It's
You're a
so fucking
somebody.
stupid.
I know, and you get there's a lot of like rappers. You'll hear them talk about like I don't know, rap about like you know
So dumb.
people don't think you're somebody until like you've got that tick. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but what makes that person a better person than you? Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We all breathe and live the same air, and at the end of the day, we're all going the same way. Like it's you're born, you die. Just because that person's got a Ferrari, that don't make them a better person than you.
Well, it's
You know,
hard for us to humanize people that are famous. I've found that with
mm,
myself. Like when I see people that I really respect that are famous, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know they're people. Like I know if you
yeah,
shoot them in their head, they're gonna die. But like um just
you,
remembering that, hey, they started off just like you. They were born in a random city, they had to go to fucking school, they had
yeah,
to go get a job, like they had to do all that shit. And they're basically you, but they went through whatever process they went through to get to where they're at. And I think a lot
yeah,
of times we kind of want to idolize them and make it almost like they're not human because it's easier. If you really believe that all famous people were just like you, they started off in situations just as bad or even worse, then that would kind of inform you that you should be doing a lot more than you're doing to get to where they're at, because it was achievable to them. All those same things, all those same pleasures and wealth that they enjoy could be yours if you were to simply not follow an exact copy of the path they went, but if you were to do similar shit to what they did, you know, but we don't want that. We don't want to have to fucking put all that work in. And so it's easier to just make them an idol. Like, wow, that guy's so awesome. Yeah, he's so fast. Like, I could never be as good as him.
It's just, I think it's just destiny, and you're born how you're born. It's almost like a vending machine. You just, that's me, and that's the next person, and it's.
Now, what do you think about nature versus
people,
nurture? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. There was like a little bit of lag there, but
no, that's fine. Nature, explain that for me, just.
Okay. So do you think that I am the way that I am because of qualities that I was born with? Do you think that I'm a product of my environment?
No, not really. I think you are who you are because, well, to start with, well, you're born by another human being, and does take two human beings to make that person. But then some people might not have their parents from day one. Let's say they didn't want them, or they died at birth or something, and then you're on your own. Like you become that person. You become yourself. Like you feed off what's around you. Like some people can be easily led. Some people just they're just gonna do what they're gonna do, and they're gonna become who they're gonna become. Some people get it easy. Some people don't. It's a tough one to talk about sometimes. You just don't know, do you? Like nothing's what is what is what is life? Like you don't know if is it really real? Like what why is a desk a desk? Like why is the sky called the sky? Like
All right,
we don't know.
Mohan.
Yeah,
Were you
we
there
don't
that night?
know. Well,
The fucking
what
chair.
makes a chair a chair? Why is a
Yeah,
chair
yeah.
a chair? It's true though. It is true. And you could get into some deep conversations of like all this history we've been told about. We've been told about like it's a Chinese whisper because it's all over, or it's been written or something like that. You'll see these, but like, how far back does that actually go, and how much of that is actually true, and or is that something we're just led to believe? Like, I don't know. The more you think about it, the more your head just goes
Bro,
and just wants to explode.
I'm right there with you in the mind fuck. I haven't really articulated it on the podcast or even in person, but or no, I have to people in person, but yeah, man, it's like, what the fuck is this shit? What the fuck is this, man?
I know, like it's just bonkers. It really.
I don't even know how to articulate why it's such a mind fuck. Like, but okay, I'll try. If you fuck, okay. One thing that really so I've talked about this before. It seems that the world's based around duality. Like, there's this, then there's the opposite of this thing. There's this, then there's the opposite of this other thing. Now, yeah, there's a fucking spectrum in between, but it's not like there's this thing, then there's all these other different things in between. It's like, no, there's this thing, and then this is a scale, like you might be more of this side or more of that side, but there's no third thing there. It's always 1 and 0. You know, red, blue, black, white. Good, bad, hard, soft, cold, hot, wet, dry.
Yeah, it's always like an even, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
like
everything's about balance and duality, it seems.
yeah.
And okay, so that's weird.
But also I've noticed numbers. If you really think of numbers, like in like a normal day-to-day life, like certain numbers will match other numbers in your life. So like let's say I was trying to work it out, like when me and my wife first met, like her birthday, my birthday, the dates we met, and all the numbers, they tend to match up. It's weird how things happen. And these certain numbers will always come into your life. You'll have certain the more the more you think about it, the more you look into it, the more it's like you think you're there, you think you figured it out, but then you find something else and you're just like, oh my God, this is just huge. And then someone says to you, space. I mean, you look up into the sky and it's for as far as you can see. But is there anything else? Like, we don't know. Like
Here's another one for you.
it just blows my mind.
What color is this?
I mean, to me, it looks red, but that's what I've been told to say.
I would call it red as well. But
yeah,
what if me and you are actually seeing different things, but we were taught that that thing that we're seeing is called red, but what you're seeing is actually very different from what I'm seeing? Isn't that weird? Because the color is only a reflection of light. So different materials reflect light differently. And your eye, if I remember this correctly, I think everything's basically upside down. And then your brain like interprets that shit.
yeah,
And
I've heard that.
yeah, so
yeah,
you're this isn't actually how everything fucking looks. It's not. It's just in here that's how it looks. How the fuck does it look to a dog or something? I don't know. Like what? This okay, so let's say that vision isn't even how we experience our environment. The fuck is this shit?
I know. We are living in the Matrix, mate.
Yeah, man. And
Pretty sure of it.
God, dude. Okay, and then death, right? God, life is a tragedy, man. You're fucking born screaming. You know, everything's about suffering, it seems. Like, you know, everything sucks. And your whole life is trying to make things suck less. And then you fucking die.
Yeah. And then all your problems go away.
Maybe.
That
I don't know.
will
What
be
the
it.
hell happens after?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Some people believe, you know, there is something after death. Some people believe once you're dead, that's it. You're gone. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's such a crazy thing. Like, you just don't really know what the hell to.
So I consumed 44 grams. Okay, wait, no. That's illegal. I don't think I can get in trouble for saying I ate a bunch of mushrooms because they can be like, what kind of mushroom? I don't. Okay, no, I've already said I've ate psilocybin. Fuck it. What am I even thinking? Anyways,
I heard you had truffles and fell over and cracked your head open.
I ate a bunch of mushrooms in Amsterdam, and
I seem to have heard that.
Yeah, and because I like struggle with the idea that we're gonna die, that's of course what the fuck came up in my mushroom trip, and they were the message being communicated, because it wasn't like it was talking to me, but it's like I got this message and I don't really know how to explain any of it. I'm going to sound like a crazy person, but I'm going to give it a shot. I can kind of see the shape that I saw when I was, it's basically like fucking mushroom shaped stuff moving in opposite directions and you're there while you're dead. And it's not that bad. That's what it kept telling me, is like, hey, just so you know, this is what death is like. We just killed you. It's not that bad. And then it's like I was slowly dying and dying and dying and dying. But the only way I could find peace was to submit and accept my fate and accept that the mushrooms were going to fucking kill me and whatever. And it don't get me wrong, like physically I felt fine. It wasn't like I felt like I was going to die, but it was like mentally it was taking me to a different place and showing me what fucking death is. And it was basically, that was like the main message that I can remember, is that it was not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Like, that's what it kind of fucking kept telling me. Like, you're freaking the hell out over this, but it's not even that bad. Like, why are you thinking about this? You have you still have your life. Why are you worried about when you don't? You can worry about that then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I go to bed dreaming about stuff like that sometimes, and then you just your dream feels so real, and then you wake up, and it's like, shit, did that like really happen? Like,
Yeah.
I've had it where I feel like I'm not very good with heights. It's not something I don't really like heights. And I've had dreams where like I'm on top of a building and then some reason I've jumped. And I'm like, but why would I jump? And you're falling, and then I just go really hot and I just shock myself up, and I wake, and I'm like, it takes me ages to go back to sleep after that, because all you're worried about is falling. And is this sometimes I think, is this, am I being told something? Is there something that, like, now seem to think, oh, I better not go up to the top of that building just in case my dream comes true, because
Yeah.
that dream could have been trying to tell me something. And I'm like, shit, like, it's just so fucked up.
Well, cultures all around the world have placed value on dreams and what they mean, and tried to use them or try to interpret them to gain information about how they might better live their lives and such. So maybe they're not wrong. Maybe there's something to that, you know?
Yeah, there's some people out there that are just super, like, what they say to some people would be like absolute bonkers, but actually you think about what they say, and maybe you might experience something that they say. It kind of makes you think, well, actually, I don't know, is it real or not? Like, it's just so crazy. Like,
And
it's
going back to Tate, since this is obviously a Tate fucking podcast at this point,
mm,
he talks a lot about God, and
yeah,
his arguments resonate with me, man. Like, he's not making arguments based off of proving that God exists, but his arguments for why you should follow God fucking resonates with me, man.
mm,
But when it comes down to, does he exist, you know, like, so, okay, I was a pretty devout Christian. If I had to like label myself as something now, I would choose agnostic, because I'm not saying that none of it exists. I just don't know which one or what exactly, which I think is a very fair position to take. And what really shook me though and got me going in that direction was really the question of, did God create us or did we create God? You know, I've talked about this on the podcast before, but like, I would go to church and they would have a praise and worship. That's what they would call it, praise and worship time or whatever. And then, you know, they're band on the stage playing guitar, praise and worship music. Everyone's hands are in the air. You know, some people are crying. Some people are, you know, yelling out because they've just been freed from a burden that they had carried. It's like this wonderful, beautiful fucking energy in the room. And that's what they would call God's presence. And I've experienced that and I felt it. And I can get why anyone that experiences that would believe in God. But what I wonder is, is that God, or is that something that we created in our mind because we're standing here together, unified, worshiping this thing together? You know, we're all it's like
You,
this feeling of
you're tell,
fellowship.
yeah, you're telling
Yeah,
yourself that there's something there, so you're believing
yeah.
it.
And there's nothing wrong, and everyone believes in it there. No one's
Mm,
questioning it. Everyone kind of looks down on people that do. You know, so you all are unified, and there's no problem with never questioning it. You're allowed to just accept it and continue to worship God forever and never question anything. So that really messed with me when I really started thinking into it, because instantly the first reaction would be like, God's real, you know. But I had to like calm myself down, like, hey, listen, you're not hurting anybody. You're just asking yourself some questions and trying to figure things out. You know, it's just
yeah.
it's okay, you know. But I will say that the most peace I've ever had was when I was like fully committed in the Christian faith. And I've
Mm,
probably had a lot of lack of peace since. However, I feel that that might be because of how I was raised. I was raised as a devout Christian. I was raised that it's wrong to say fuck and shit and bitch and all that. And I was raised that it's wrong to smoke pot. Don't ever sip on beer, you know. And then I jumped off the deep end and went joined the fucking army, and you know, fuck, nicotine, alcohol, fucking
mm,
bitches, having a blast. Not saying that's a good lifestyle. Maybe when you're 18, but not when you grow up. But that's really what shook my faith. And then when you start to look at some of the methods that are used. Now, I'm not saying that every church does this, and I don't have any problem with anyone that chooses to be a Christian, but I've certainly witnessed myself what I would consider fear tactics. You know, you will burn in the pits of hell if you don't accept Christ as your Lord and Savior. I'm telling you this because I care about you. I want you to go to heaven. Okay.
mm.
Now, I believe that that person does believe that. But why is that the scripture? Why is that the case? And, you know, they're just being a good person. They actually mean that. They're telling you, they're actually trying to save you. Like, that's a homie.
Mm.
But why were they taught that? Why
Yeah, but
does,
at one point
yeah,
they didn't believe it. They was told themselves as well.
yeah,
And that person was told. That person. So it's all going down to someone being like it like you say, you could either believe it's real and that's fine, or you could go back to like you say, when you're younger, you learn you're being told things all the time. Like that vape that you got in your hand there, you're told that's a vape. So if someone was to keep telling you that that's a vape, you're led to believe that that is a vape. So if someone keeps telling you there's a God, you're going to believe there's a God the more you get spoken to about it. But no one actually knows where it originates from because no one can go back that far. They like there's no one alive on this planet that actually knows. We only know what we've been told by that person before us and that person before them and that person before them. But how do you know that they haven't, someone down the line has just not made this up just to give some people hope, like, or something to look forward to, or because without it, you just wouldn't know, would you?
right. I think we're a big body. I feel like we're one entity. We're all connected and we're all working towards the same goal, but none of us know what the fuck it is. Like,
Mm,
we build off of each other, each other. History. We sorry. If we didn't teach our young, then we wouldn't be here today. You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't have the
mm,
technology we have if we didn't learn from generations before us. If we didn't figure out how to make fucking fire, you wouldn't have enough. You know what I mean? And like,
mm,
from there to here, and now that's where I can see some evidence of evolution. Now, I'm not saying that like it's actual evidence or whatever, but like, if you pay attention and you notice, we invent we invent fire to stay warm, cook food, things like that. All the way
Yeah.
to the point where we have electric ovens and stoves and crock pots and all that stuff. Well, that was a process of evolution. And what if that could be applied to all facets of the world? But then again, even if evolution is true, well, geez, man, like the common Christian argument would be that something had to start it. You know, if you drive down the street and you see buildings, they didn't just build themselves. People had to go build them. So like, which is fair in my opinion. It's a very practical argument, but who and why? Why? Like, why does God have to make a whole civilization just to worship himself? Wouldn't you call that a narcissist? And if he's God, immortal, infinite, all-knowing, wouldn't that kind of narcissistic desire be beneath him? Why do we have to worship him? Why do we go to burn to hell if we don't choose to put ourselves beneath him?
But do we have to worship him? Like, do they like, or do they feel they have to because they feel that it will give them passage to heaven?
Well, that's where the fear thing comes in, because technically you can only go to heaven if you truly received Christ as your Lord and Savior. Like you truly believe, right? Not just saying the words, like you have to believe. And that's the whole thing. So it's kind of like, am I believing hard enough? Like, am I there yet? You know, like, and I think for most people, they just say the right things, do the right things because they're afraid, not only of hell, but the scorn of their peers and, you know,
people around them.
Yeah. But I mean, there could be a very, I'm dying. I should not be doing this thing anymore.
You need to get rid of that thing, mate.
It's not like I cough like that all the time. I only cough when I do it. And then after like a few minutes, I'm fine. Okay, yeah, it's a bad idea. I should probably
I quit smoking and vaping about 6-7 years ago. It's the best thing I ever did.
I wouldn't call myself a smoker or a vapor. This has CBD in it. It's not nicotine or anything. Supposed to get you high, but I have not quite felt anything from that yet. So I might just stop vaping.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like you're getting you high. It doesn't look like it's doing any good for you either.
No, it's scarring my lungs. That's what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is a mind fuck, man. All of it. Because like while all that's going on, your kid's probably playing Minecraft. And that's her biggest concern. You know? She's worried about finding those diamonds, man. She ain't worried about the problems of life.
Don't you wish you could just go back to being a kid just for one day and just not having any care in the world? Like, because you just don't know, like, because we're adults, we can't do that anymore. You're still going to be you're just naturally going to worry about something. There's going to be something. But when you're a kid, there was nothing. Everything was done for you pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, just to live that day one more time.
It's pretty epic. Sweet. Not worried about death because you're so far away from it. Just having fun, you know? You
just don't think about it, do you? It's not something that crosses your mind until you get, I don't know, probably in your 20s, 30s, maybe. Or,
yeah, I think that's when it starts hitting.
Or unless someone around you dies at a young age, and then you think, oh. But then you probably think about it for a bit. Then it'll leave your mind. It'll leave your mind after a while because life gets on top of you, and then you completely forget about it.
Well,
until it pops up again.
Yeah, it's and that's another thing, like the fear of death isn't just for myself. It's like realizing that you're going to watch your mother and father die, you know, and you're going to watch people very close to you that you care very much about pass away, you know. Or what about like just being distant, man, like not being near your family. I don't know about everybody, but for me, I'm a pretty big family guy, so I like to be close to family. But my mom's all the way in Iowa and I'm in Tennessee, and I don't like that, but like eventually we'll figure something out, you know. But it's like realizing that you're going to have to watch these people that have always been there for you your whole life, 30, 40 years, die. And like, you know, I've talked to my mom about it because her mom passed, and that was horrible for her. I mean, she was really, it was a really hard thing to get through for her. Which of course, completely understandable. But like one thing that she would tell me is like, it really makes you realize your mortality when you watch when you watch your parents die. Because man, when you watch your parents die, the people that have been with you forever, and you know, they're almost like immortal in your mind, you know, and then they die. It's like, whoa, you're next, buddy. And how do you contend with that? How do you deal with that? How do you make peace with your father dying, or your mother dying, or your brother, or God forbid your kid? Like, how do you get through the fact that we only experience this in a very temporary way, and that everyone else is in the same boat? How do you? I don't know. That's a tough question for me.
I suppose you won't know until you have to experience it yourself, which is something you wish that you never have to, but you kind of have to. I think the older you get, the more you start to realize that these things are going to start happening, and you are going to have to be like strong, and
Yeah,
because initially it's going to break you in it, but you've got to try and live through it.
yeah,
Um, and there'll be other people in your family that are not as strong as you, and you know you got to pull it together for them as well.
yes. And I think that's the answer. It was the same thing when I broke up with my Italian girlfriend. I still talk to her today. Every day, basically. I don't think there's ever been a day we haven't talked since I met her. um, and she's a very, very good friend of mine. But it just kind of came down to the fact that she was an Italian woman that has her whole life built in Italy, and that's where she's just that's her life. Her family's there, and my life, while it hasn't been built yet, I intend on building it near my family. And so like even if things progressed and we got married, it's like one of us would always be unhappy. Either she'd be away from her family or I'd be away from mine. And so we both, you know, made the decision that we were going to end it once I left Italy. And that was hard to fucking deal with, man. I mean, I was destroyed. Like I loved her, you know? But the way I get through it, because I'm still going through it even 6 months later, is I do it for her. Like that's what I told her. I was like, I'm gonna get over you for you, because I don't want you to have to worry that I'm not like ever gonna be okay. Like I'll be fine. I don't want you to worry about that. I want you to make peace with that. Like I want you to have peace that you know, and that's the same thing. Like I'm gonna continue living and thriving for that person that I love that died, or in her case is no longer in my life, right? Like that person that died, I'm going to live for them. I'm not going to give up and cry and whine and go into depression. I'm going to be the best dad I can be. I'm going to be the best brother I can be the best friend I can be, try to help people, try to do good things. Like you're going to fuck up, but if you see a piece of trash on the ground, just by picking it up and throwing it away, we all have a very minuscule little part in this whole thing. But if you take your minuscule part very serious and you really try to make it as good as you can manage, because of course you're going to fuck it up some, like we're humans, you're going to fuck it up. But if your goal is to keep trying to help and keep trying to make things better, I think that's how you get through that. It actually goes back to how we started this all off. You know, by getting through that depression requires you to be selfless by doing it for other people. Like, I'm getting out of this for everyone else, not for me, right? For everyone else, because it's got to be bigger than me. I can't get through this if it's just about me. You know?
It's true. Because there's people, you might have people that depend on you, or people that are close to you that if you're down, it brings them down as well. So you're not only like making their life sad. No, you're not only making your life sad, you're making their life sad as well. So you kind of have to be selfless to think of others as well, because these people are important to you in life.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you don't find it crazy how that we started off on a topic and it everything goes around.
Yeah.
Like everything we spoke about, it will always go round back to this thing you started, because everything, like you say, everything comes in like pairs. So if there's a good, there's a bad.
There's a start, there's an end.
And it's all linked. Everything is linked somehow.
That's
This
the
whole
thing.
world.
That's the thing about a circle. Is
Yeah.
a circle a long line that is shaped into a circle, and it's still a line, it's just shaped into a circle? Or is a circle this thing, and where does it start and where does it end? Just goes on forever. Where does it start and where does it end? If the universe is infinite, it never started. How the fuck does it make sense that this shit never started and that it's never going to end? What? There's always a start and end to everything, but not to the universe.
But is there?
You think it's a simulation?
You don't know, do you?
Yeah, because if it is a simulation, you could, that actually, like, I know when you say that this whole thing's a simulation, people instantly are like, fuck that shit. But at the same time, if you really think about it, this is kind of like a simulation. And if it's a simulation of what? And why are we doing a simulation? Is it because we're infinite beings that are bored? Or are we preparing for something? What is the point of a simulation?
It's also the not knowing, in it, like not knowing what's to come. Because you just don't know, do you?
No, yeah, and that's the fear.
You only know what you know now and what you've learned, but tomorrow's another day, and tomorrow could bring something completely different. You might think you're going to go do what you're going to do tomorrow, but if you actually think it, at any point, your life could just change within an instant. Literally within an instant, your whole life can change. I might think tomorrow I'm going to go and see my brother at a boxing match because my brother's fighting tomorrow. He's got his next fight. He's got a title defense. At this moment in time in my life, right this second, that's what I believe I'm doing tomorrow. But something might come up. I'm pretty sure it won't, but there's always something. That's the thing. You just don't know. You spend. I think you spend something like 80% of your life waiting for something, because that's even down to waiting for the kettle to boil. You spend a lot of your life sleeping and waiting.
Dude. That is, imagine how much of your life you waste doing that.
That's the thing. Your life is literally waiting, sleeping, and doing, and then also not knowing, because you can't predict anything. You can't. Well, you can predict stuff. That's a lie. You can predict something, but that ultimately comes down to luck, doesn't it?
Well, it's luck and knowledge. So prediction, you can't predict anything, I don't feel, with 100% certainty, but you can make an educated guess about what's going to happen.
but at any point, something could make that change at any point.
Yeah. And the reason that you can't 100% predict the future is because the only thing that technically exists is the present. The future does not exist yet. The past does not
Exactly.
exist. That's
Mm.
just up here. That's not anywhere else. You can't go to the past. You can't go to the future. Well, I guess you
No.
can go to the future. You just got to wait. But
Mm.
yeah. You go the past, the future does not exist, only the present. So in a way, it kind of goes back to that immortality thing. We are immortal. It's just at some point you stop existing. Like in the present, since the present is the only thing that exists and you're
Mm.
alive, you're immortal in the present.
But then do you stop existing? How do you know? We don't know.
Well, you stop
You,
existing on Earth.
physically,
Yeah.
but we don't know what's to come next, if there is anything. That's the
Yeah.
whole mind fuck to it all.
Well, that's always the fear.
It's the not knowing.
Well, and like the not knowing is a lot of times what scares us more than anything. The anticipation is usually way worse than the actual thing. Like I can, as an example, there was never a jump I wasn't afraid of. I've had some that I was a little more afraid of than others. And then actually I take that back. I'd say in airborne school, I stopped really giving a fuck because it's like a week and you do 5 jumps in that week. And so when you're doing it that frequently, it's like going to the mailbox. But anyways, I would always kind of worry, like, what if my fucking parachute doesn't work? What if I hit the ground wrong? What if, whatever. But it's
That's why I've not done
it. Yeah. Most of the time you're gonna be fine. And the way I would calm myself down is like talking to myself, like, look, motherfucker, like there was like one injury last year out of how many airborne divisions with how many people in it, and you're that worried about it. Like you're gonna be fine. Usually when people get hurt, it's because they did something wrong. So like just do the right things, man. Just the way I reassure myself is like talking to myself, but then also going through all the steps. Like, okay, I'm gonna jump, and then what's the first thing I'm gonna do? I'm gonna count to 6 and keep my chin tucked. And then after that, I'm gonna look up, check canopy control, look around at your jumpers, make sure you're not falling faster than everyone else. Identify like when you hit 250 feet, drop your ruck. Okay, direction. I'm floating to the north. Okay, I need to prepare, rotate, and then you land correctly. Like I would just kind of go through the steps. That would help me make it less like a hopeless, you're gonna die thing, and more of like a practical, here's a plan thing, Yeah. Yeah, but the anticipation of something is usually way worse than it is. And that's what I wonder. I wonder if that'll hold true with death. If the anticipation, like I feel like we're probably pretty safe to say that dying is gonna suck. I think we're more afraid of the dying part than the being dead part. Because like once you're dead, you're dead. The dying is the suffering, like your heart slowing down, you can't breathe.
And it's blood like loss. Also you feel that everything you've lived for is gone. You've lost it. You've built up this, you've got, you've bought a car, you bought a house, you've had kids, a wife, or whatever you've done, you know what I mean? And it's gone. It's all been taken away from you. So it's in some ways you kind of think, why would you put yourself through all this in the first place if you was to think of that at the start? Because you don't think of this. You only talk about these things very rarely. You don't talk about death every day, do you? It's not something that
and that's
comes
why I
up
love
into
the
a conversation.
podcast, because we can talk about whatever the hell we want.
You just don't talk about it. So
Yeah.
before I had all the stuff I've got now, I didn't think of it like that. But now and also a fear of losing. You're fear of losing everything you've got because that is what you live for. You live for these things, and that's your fear of losing it all when you're gone. But then you also hope that when you do go, that your stuff that you've built up and got protected, someone else will then follow that on for you, like your kids, let's say. This is why a lot of people have children because you build up your little empire to pass it on to them and hope that they will do the same. And they will do the same for their kids, and then their kids will do the same for their kids. That's how a lot of people do it. But then you also have these people that are like, they won't have families, they won't have anything. They will just literally travel the world. They're their own free spirit, and they will just live off God's, like what they would say God's land, or the, Mother Nature and all. It's it is just, I don't know. I mean, I've got to the certain age now where I'm not really afraid anymore. I was, but I'm not anymore because I feel the more I used to worry about it, the worse it would make me feel. So I've learned to just think, do what you want to do, live your life. When it's your time, it's your time. And I've learned to accept that now.
That seems to be the resounding answer. When I asked Jalex how a non-Christian could find peace with death, he said you should let life catch you while you're living, or let death catch you while you're living.
Mm.
I thought that was actually a pretty profound sentence because
I like that sentence. I like that.
yeah, because if you just focus on living and you try to stave off the thought of death, then you're happy, man. And like,
yeah, because
you
you're not
can just
thinking of it,
live.
are you? And when it happens, it happens. It's just, it will catch you off guard.
Yeah. And it's like,
So
yeah, it sucks, but
mm,
at least you lived.
yeah,
And I think there are certain,
instead of living your life in fear of it and trying to stop yourself from it happening, you're wrapping yourself up away from everything. 'Cause you
yeah,
will just do that, I think.
yeah. And I think there are certain riches that can be, I don't know, man. Actually, it's kind of hard to say, like, what does it even fucking matter if you're a good or bad person? Like, ultimately, if this is all temporary and you die anyways. But what if, prepare yourself, this is going to be a really trippy thought. What if heaven, okay, what if heaven has certain requirements that your soul has to meet certain criteria before it's compatible with heaven, and it can't make its way into heaven? Like you like, by whatever fucking science might exist out there, heaven can, you, if your soul is not compatible with heaven, your soul cannot enter heaven. And so what if earth, what if we do reincarnate? What if we do reincarnate and you only reincarnate if your soul is not compatible? And until then, you just keep reincarnating until you figure it out. And the way you make your soul compatible is by realizing certain truths, like, you know, giving, like becoming a good person in the sense that you attempt selfless acts. Like you're trying to help people, you're trying to lift people up, you're loving people, you're building a family, you're trying to nurture your children, you're being the best person you can be for the right reasons. Then your soul, through that process of becoming that, transforms into something that becomes compatible with heaven. And then that's how you get to heaven. That's a really trippy thought. And like, I think I just invented my own like side religion. But what do you think about that though?
I get it. I do. Because, there's people that are like, they start their lives off as like, I don't know, bad people, you'd call them. they do stuff that just isn't right to everyone else. But yet, one day they do find peace with themselves and they become good. They can become good people. But yet, everyone knows them as horrible or just someone they don't even want to associate themselves with. But something tells this person or something in their head makes them think, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I need to find peace. I need to find, and this is where in the is it, you call it jail, don't you? The jail system or prison system.
Yeah.
You hear or see a lot of the inmates, you know, a lot of them, yes, they have done wrong. Um, but inside there, they have a lot of time to themselves to think about things. And you can let your mind just expand and open up. And then you do find that a lot of these people they turn to um religion um to hopefully help. They want to get acceptance from someone again because us humans won't accept them for who they are. So they're going to try and be good in their mind to try and get acceptance for what they might think is the next life, or or something, or for someone to actually let them in their mind, because their mind obviously led them astray beforehand, and now they are trying to be a better person in themselves, which would kind of go with how you was kind of saying it in that sort of sense. If I don't know if you feel that the same, I'm not sure.
I do. And I feel that way because I watched a documentary where they were going and talking to people that were spending the rest of their life in prison. And
Mm.
this one dude reads books and he says that he isn't in prison. Like his body physically is here in the cell, but his mind is free from prison. He escapes here through these books. He puts himself into the books and he imagines things and he envisions things, and that's how I guess he copes with his incarceration.
Mm.
But the way he described it, it really lines up with what you're saying. So yeah, I think there's something to that.
Yeah, I do.
Have you ever
Hope.
thought about being selfless though? Like, you ever is it possible for us to truly be selfless? Isn't there always something in it for us, even with sacrifice?
That's a good point. Um, I think I think deep down you are ultimately are going to be thinking of yourself. I mean, I I'm a very if yeah I'm a very friendly person. You you've probably noticed that over the
But is that because you're
past.
good? Or is that because that's what benefits you the most?
I don't know because there's times where like I do it just because I want to do it. I want to be good. I want to be a nice person. I want to I want people to obviously like me or think that I'm a good person. I wouldn't want people to think that I'm a bad person. So I will go. So sometimes I do go out of my way to help people, and not necessarily I want anything back from them, but maybe some. I suppose. Well, yeah, you kind of do because you'd kind of want that person to respect you, and that's still getting something out of them. Because
Yeah, that's my point. And I'm actually really interested in talking to you about this because you sound a little bit like me. And I've been ambushing motherfuckers with this shit. Hey there, guy. And it happened again. What the fuck were we talking about?
selflessness.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like, okay, so this is a tough question, but I think that truths should apply to everything, even the most extreme of situations. So if we can find the truth here, then we'll find. Okay, whatever. Anyways, so I'm gonna call him a Russian soldier because everyone fucking hates Russia right now. So hopefully I don't get canceled. But just take a generic. I'm joking. But just take a generic example of a soldier dying for his fellow countrymen. Like, say, infantry platoon breaches a building, and somehow a grenade gets on the floor. A guy jumps on it, eats it for everybody else. How could you then apply that same idea that everyone's selfish? How could you possibly selfishly jump onto a grenade that's going to end your life? And so I started thinking about it. Well, what about we humans like to portray a self-image? You have a way of being, or no, you have an appearance that you like to maintain. Conscious, subconscious, it's just kind of, it's what we do. Like, and it changes. Like in front of certain people, you're a nicer person. Then you get on Xbox and talk shit to 12-year-olds on Call of Duty. Then there's so many different ways that you decide to express yourself or show yourself to the world. And I think that it's possible, and I'm not saying that it is. And I always preface this with, I do, of course, respect, people that and appreciate the sacrifice that they did make. But I'm just trying to figure out the fucking truth here, man. Like, it could someone that jumps on a grenade potentially be trying to contribute to their self-image that's going to live on, or maybe they have become, because in the military, a lot of times they kind of want to erase your individuality so that you guys kind of merge into this one thing. That's the perfect team is just one entity. So what if they were so effective at that you almost felt like everyone else was you, and you cared more about that part of you living on than you? I don't know, man. It's and at the same time, duality, right? Like there's two of everything. It's impossible for everything to be the same, right? Like there's no absolutes, right? There's no this is the only answer. So maybe there is potential for selflessness. Maybe in very specific situations, selflessness does exist. And maybe you find that through religion. Maybe you do find that through sacrifice. Like even the Bible says, no greater love there is except, okay, I'm paraphrasing, but there's no greater love than for a man to lay down his life for his friends. That's a very popular verse in the military, actually. And it's so true, because you guys are always together and everything. And then, when shit hits the fan and you find your opportunity to keep everyone else alive. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It's
in a moment like that, though, it's it's a split-second decision, isn't it?
Yeah, well, a lot of times you've already worked through this in your head. So when you get into that, you've already thought about, what am I going to do if I have to do that? So then when you get there, that decision's already been made. And the military uses conditioning a lot of times, because if I were to stick you in a high pressure situation that you have no experience dealing with, there's a good chance you might just freeze up or do something completely wrong. But people thinking that they just freeze up, you can train that. You can train what to do in very intense situations. And as long as you train it, when you find yourself in an instinct mode, you fall back on your training. So maybe you could condition that to self, but no, I'm not gonna say that because I've heard stories and I've known people that have been overseas and everything and have been in those situations, and it's more than that. It's not. I kind of feel like you have to have been in that situation to really find that truth. I
Yeah,
don't
you're
think
not going
we
to be
can.
around to find out afterwards, are you?
Yeah, well, yeah, that. But I mean, like, I'm talking about just being in the room with the guy that jumped on the grenade. Seeing his selfless act, and because it's weird. Because although, yeah, verbal communication's the primary way to communicate, we have
Mm.
body language. We kind of get certain energies we feel from people. We have this weird, like, I'm not gonna say we're telepathic. Like, I can't just go, and then you're gonna understand what the hell I just said in my head. But I said, "Fuck you."
Cheeseburgers.
Taco Bell. Imagine if this was a podcast right here. We just stare at each other, dude. Fucking have, you wouldn't need the internet if telepathy was that strong, you know? But
That's crazy.
yeah. So maybe to truly find that truth, you would actually have to be the guy that jumped on the grenade and then have time to analyze it after, which of course you wouldn't. But
No.
just being in the same room and seeing that guy, maybe you can kind of feel what he's feeling and find it. But those guys aren't worried about that. They're not sitting there, their buddy just died. They're not thinking like, why did he do it? They're thinking like, oh my God, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, dude. Life's a mind fuck, bro.
But then it could also be, did that guy have um wife and kids? And the other guys he was with all did. And maybe he thought he would take that. He already pre-thought to himself. He wants to get them guys home before himself.
Well, maybe
But
he
then there's on
would.
the flip side, what if he had wife and kids and then he still thought like that? And it's like, then is he not thinking about his family?
Well, okay, yeah.
It's so
Um,
like there's so many different like answers and ways you can think about it, and it's like for someone to do that in the first place, it is just it just amazes me. I mean,
yeah.
you would like to think you would do that for your best friend, wouldn't you? You'd like to think you'd do that for your wife and kids. And I would say it now. I if it was down to myself or my wife or my child, I'm going to choose me. I'm going to make sure I'm the one that protects them because that's what I believe in myself, and I believe that that's what I should do because that's what I believe. That was something I would do. I mean, I would like to hope I never have to come. It would never have to come to that, but I think people do accept that in life already. Like that when you grow up, things will happen in your life, and you think you're gonna you've got a choice, and you would choose you're gonna choose you over them. But then there's some people that wouldn't. They would want to tempt that with fate and go, if it happens, it happens. If or they would run away from that situation. I don't know. It's just there's so many answers, so many questions.
It's like life's the
It's,
ultimate test.
I
It's
don't know
to
if yeah, it is. It is. It's that life is the hardest thing that'll ever be thrown at you. Like someone could say to you, go and do a 20-mile run in under a certain time, and you're going to think that's hard, but life will throw something at you even harder than that.
yeah, life is the hardest thing that gets thrown at you, and it's also the only thing you have.
Yeah, it's like life is harder than like the hardest game you'll ever play. Like you'll get like easy, normal, hard, extreme, skull and crossbones. You don't want to be doing that stuff, but then life is even harder than that because it can throw anything at you at any given time. It's like we're in our own computer game, and you're playing as player one.
Yeah.
We are living a game, I believe. I believe we are. That is what life is. Life is a game, and
The
we just
game
live it.
is, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, but and it does seem that life gets compared a lot to video games or simulation or something, but a game implies entertainment. Maybe, but what could be some of the other reasons that this video game is being played or this simulation is being ran? What could we be preparing for? Why are we doing this?
Mm,
What's there to gain? Okay, so like let's flip it around. So let's say that you had the ability to create your own little planet of creatures and you made it like a simulation and everything. It's a new game. It's called Sims. It's the Sims game, but like version fucking 78. And you have the perfect simulation. What would you use it for? Because like it's massive if you think about it, right? Couldn't be for one
mm.
person. Like that's way too much entertainment. The hell are you gonna do with a whole planet of people that are like infinitely being born and dying and what? Like what's the point? Why?
To level up. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying there's someone up there playing this game. Like I just feel like it is because there's so much that's test. You're being tested every day. That's what almost like a game is. It's testing you all the time to make you better because you're always trying to level up. You're always trying to achieve something. You're always trying to be better you, let's say, or a better person, or you're trying to um, one up someone, and you would do that in in a game, whether it be a good game, bad game, or fantasy or whatever. There's just different ways of thinking it. It's just yeah, I don't know. I'm still unsure. I don't really know what's next. Like what what's next to come. I'm still unsure. I still haven't found that in my head. I still haven't let it come to pass yet. I'm still like trying to learn,
Yeah.
process it.
I think that's all of us, man. It's so hard to really think think it through. Um, one thing that you could ask yourself, okay, all right. So if you don't have a religion, sir, then
Mm,
why do you choose to be nice? Why do you choose to be a good person? Is it just because like obviously being a law-abiding citizen is what would be best for you? Or is it's like ultimately nothing fucking matters if
mm,
if you don't have religion, which provides meaning a lot of times. So if you don't have meaning, or okay, if you don't believe in any kind of entity, then ultimately life is meaningless, right? Like nihilism, like you could be good, you could be bad. No one's gonna remember in 300 years anyway, so fuck it. Like
mm.
why?
True.
So without it though, and where do you get your meaning from? Why do you choose to be the way you are?
Mm, I don't know. I think it's because I just feel I want I want to be better than people that than people that might be around me, or how I was like from when I grew up, since like when I've grown up and now I've tried to better myself. I'm always trying to be better than the next person.
So you're competitive.
Yeah, I would say I'm competitive. Yeah. And I'd also, I don't know, because I just think you see a lot of bad around. But me personally, I just don't want to be. I just can't be that way. I could try, but I don't want. But there's something tells me that I shouldn't.
Yeah, there
So,
is.
but I don't know what that something is.
I don't either. And I call, whether it's that same something or if it's a different something inside of us, the Christians would probably call it a spirit of discernment or the Holy Ghost or something like that.
Mm,
I personally, though, I do think that we all have something inside of us that's kind of like a bullshit detector, and we're able to really pick apart. Like, okay, so you may not. So, like, let's say that I'm very witty and I'm very good at articulating my thoughts, and I'm really good at an argument and debate and everything, and I am wrong. I have a wrong idea that I am arguing for. And let's say that you're a dumb person or something and you aren't very good with your words, or and then I'm arguing against you with my dumb idea. You may not be able to beat me in the argument, but deep down, you still know whether you're wrong or I'm right. Like you like, okay, even if you were the one with the bad idea, you would be able to know that you are wrong. You may not want to be wrong. You may not want to accept that, but deep down, there's a voice there somewhere that's telling you the truth. And the more you listen to it, the louder it gets. The less you listen to it, the quieter it gets. Same thing with doing bad shit. I don't know if you've ever had something where for most of your life, this was considered a bad thing. And then you did it and you may have felt really guilty about it, bad about it, whatever. And when you keep doing it, you eventually get over it and get used to it, you know? And that's because you
mm,
stopped listening to that, whatever that was inside of you, telling you not to do that bad thing. So you stop listening to it, it starts shutting up. It stops talking as much, you know? It's
mm.
what's that saying? We all have two wolves inside of us. Feed the one you want to grow or some shit like that. Um, that idea.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
You stay up late, man,
Yeah, I mean, I will be going to bed soon.
and you don't even have a coffee,
I try not to drink coffee after 12 p.m.
even though you stay up super late.
Yeah, I I'm not a morning person. I'm an evening person. I always have been. Um, I would like I'll get up in the morning. I tend to drink a pint of water as soon as I get up with a multivitamin tablet and a cod liver oil. Um,
Wait, so multivitamin and what?
a cod liver oil.
What's that?
It's like another type of thingy, but it's good for your bones and um
Nice.
your mobility and all. So
We're
I take
so
one of that.
vitamin deficient. That's a good habit, man.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is quite a recent habit. I've been doing it religiously now for probably a good part of this year, and I'm going to try and stick to that. So, and then sometimes I have a coffee in the morning, sometimes I don't. Um, I try and stay away from having milk in my coffee now. I just have it black now.
Hmm.
Cuts out just to cut out the dairy a little bit. I mean, I
Yeah.
love dairy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't want dairy in my life, but if I don't have it in my, if I see it as if I don't have it in my coffee, I can have it with something else later. So
Yeah.
I'm not having the double. And then I try not to have caffeine after 12. Uh, I have the odd energy drink every now and then if I feel like I need it, just as a pick me up. But I find if I have too much sugar, I get really hyper, and then I go on a major crash.
Yeah.
And I'm like super tired.
It's a smart move, I think, to It's happening again. Hold on. I got it though. I got it. It's a smart move to cut caffeine out after lunch because yeah, man, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll just be laying in my fucking bed staring at the damn ceiling, man. Like can't fall asleep. And I think it's because of that. I drink a lot of caffeine.
Yeah, it is hard because then all you're doing is your mind is just working overtime because
Yeah.
you got this buzz inside of you, and that's the worst time because then you start thinking about things.
Well, I agree. But let me see. When did we start this? Like around 2 hours ago, I think. A little over 2 hours.
I don't even know what time it is. I can't even.
I'm trying to see.
It was about 11:30 my time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, because I sent it to you. It's about we're a little over 2 hours now. So I guess we'll work towards wrapping it up. But I think what I want to wrap or the topic I'm gonna wrap this thing, that. The thing I'm gonna wrap this up with, I've been asking a lot of people this, and it's a very light topic. It's a very fun topic, actually. It's not so serious, and I'm really looking forward to this, and I hope we pull it off. But at the end of 2023 or beginning of 2024, we want to have a vacation. And so if I could sell you a ticket that would take you anywhere you want to go in the world, and it can be multiple spots, you can do whatever you want to do, and the ticket was $300 to $500, what would you do and where would you go?
Right. Because $300 to $500 ain't going to get you very far, is it?
Don't think about the money. This ticket is your golden pass that will give you access to any hotel, Airbnb, country, food, beer, anything you want. If you have this ticket, it's yours.
Because there's a lot of places I'd love to go to.
Let's hear it.
I would love to go to Austria because I've got a thing about snow. We don't really get it where I am. And I would love to go to a cold country. And I know people that have been and they say it's just mind blowing, so good. And I've done snowboarding before, so I'd love to do that again. I'm quite an athletic. I say athletic. I will try different sports. I'm someone who will just give it a go. And once I start, I'm the sort of person who will go and buy the full kit. And then do it a couple of times and then never do it again.
I'm the same way, bro. I'm the same way. That's why I've been moving slow with this. And like the most I bought was this damn microphone. That's the only thing really. So
I think so. So yeah, I think I'd like to start there, and then from there I might as well, because if we was doing a trip, I would then want to go over to Germany. I'd love to visit Germany. I love their accent. I love their history, culture. That is just somewhere and it's not too far away. So like I say this, like you're giving me these options now. It's not something that I couldn't do now anyway, really. It's just save up a bit of money and then go. But sometimes life gets in the way, doesn't it? So this is where
and so that's the point. So all right.
Yeah.
So you can have this golden ticket, sure, and you can have it for $500 a month for 12 months. All right. For 12 payments of $500 or pounds. That's the thing. So I don't know if you could, but like if you could set aside an extra, I mean, you got a family, so maybe I don't know if you bring them or not, but you probably want to go more on the 500-pound end than the 300. But if you could somehow set that aside every month for 12 months, where could you not go for $6,000? And what could you not do for $6,000? You know? And I was thinking it'd be cool if we all did this as a group, because as a group, I don't know about you, but when you're traveling other countries and shit, a lot of times I kind of worry like, fuck, am I going to get hung up at the airport? especially during COVID times. Like, am I going to be able to get through? And when you have a group of people that are like all, just trying to make sure you get home, and then, that's reassuring. Also, going to a hotel or an Airbnb or something, you're probably going to save money, because if I'm going to a hotel and I'm bringing 10 people, I'm probably paying less. We're probably paying less for our rooms if we're giving them 10, we're renting out 10 rooms or something like that. And then also just like for safety, not that like we would want to go and fuck with people, but like people probably aren't going to come and fuck with us if there's like 10 of us, so it's kind of nice. I think it's just cool. And then you could be as social or antisocial as you want. So like, say you did bring the wife or something and the kid, and you decide like, yeah, hey guys, next couple days, me and my wife, we're just gonna like, hang out and do our own thing. All right. And then after those are up and you want to go get shit faced with everybody or whatever, then it's all good, man. Like, I just think it'd be dope, dude. And we could fucking do it. We just gotta, be a little bit disciplined and fucking set the money aside. And I was thinking, for me personally, this is my idea of a vacation. So Amsterdam's my country that I'm pushing, that we should go to, at least for a couple days, so we can eat mushrooms. And then I was thinking though, so Pizza, or that's his Xbox name, Dre, the last guy that was on this podcast, he is Albanian.
Albanian.
Yeah, he's Albanian, but he actually, he's in the Air Force for America, but he has an apartment, a car. Most of his family actually lives over there. And there's nothing like seeing a country from somebody that already lives there. So I was thinking we could go to Albania for a couple days. He could show us around. We could probably crash at his fucking apartment, or, we could just get our own shit. I'm sure it's cheap out there. Then we could go to Amsterdam. Or wait, no, Germany. I think that's first. We could go to Germany and Czech, who's, I think, is going to try to do this too. He's German, so he could show us. We could go to Berlin or something. Then we could go to the UK and see Max, get him really drunk. And then we can, you could show us, you and Green can show us the UK. And I don't know, maybe we can make those last a little bit longer than 2 days at each spot. I think that would be a blast though. 2 weeks, man. Just go up and tear shit up. That'd be fun.
That'd be awesome. It would be awesome. Because I've always said that I'd love to go to America. That's my dream.
Or we could do it in America too.
That is my. Like, I'm gonna aim to go these places that I've already said already. I've only said 2 at the minute, but I'm already pre-planning on going to these places in my head. So I'm literally working my way up to America. America's like my all-time place I want to go to.
Is just to visit, or like, would you ever want to become a citizen?
I would love to be a citizen, but I just don't think it'd be possible because family and everything. It's too far away. You know what I mean? You're literally changing your whole life.
Yeah.
If I was a lot younger, then yes. If I was a lot younger and I didn't have a wife and a kid, and I had something that was like permanent based over there, hell yeah, I would leave. I would leave tomorrow.
That's what I want, Doug. Like, that's the only reason I want to be fucking rich. I want to buy houses and shit, but not just for the sake of having them. Like, I think it'd be fucking dope if I had a car and I had like a state or a car or a home, like let's say 10 homes all over America. And then you just go like, yeah, I'm just going to go live in New York for a few months, man. But they're like, fuck it, I'm going to go over to California. Like you just bounce around.
Yeah, you just go to them places when they're at their best times.
Yeah, dude, like it'd be sick. But you got to get rich. It's the only way you're going to be able to do it.
This is done. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I am going to Greece next year. I've already got that booked and paid for. That's ready to go.
Mykonos is pretty fun, but also really pricey.
Yeah, we're going to Rhodes. which is meant to be really nice. So quite looking forward to that. And then just trying to plan to just go a different place every year if we can. Like just save up. We're good at saving, so we could just save up and just book a new place every year and just see different things.
Yeah.
The only thing that worries me is I I'm completely opposite to you. I hate planes because I'm just scared. I get so anxious about going on a plane because I don't like I hate I don't not I'm okay with some heights, but then there's other heights where I'm like, nah, it's not for me. And then being in a plane and not having the control, that freaks me out sometimes.
I mean, it
And no,
does mess with me too, man.
no
I feel
knowing
you.
that knowing that the one place I want to go to is America and it's going to be like over 16 hours.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean,
Well,
I've been to Mexico. I have been to Mexico, but I was only 16 at the time. Well, when you're a kid,
you don't think about your
no,
mortality. Yeah.
you don't think about what you're gonna lose or what you've got. Like, nah. Now I'm like, shit, dog.
No, well, so, my goal was to become a pilot um previously, but one thing I learned is, how you move up. And the only way you get to the point where you're flying planes across the ocean is when you have like a metric fuck ton of flight hours. Like if you're getting flown from Europe over here, the person flying that aircraft is one of the most experienced pilots out there, like,
Yeah,
and the aircraft is reliable. I mean, that's a reliable vehicle you're in. It doesn't just break down, and they have plenty of procedures for every conceivable problem that could ever happen. It's a very safe way to travel. You do see it on the news, like when they crash and shit like that. But I mean, out of how many flights there was
yeah.
one crash?
Compared
Like,
to how many car crashes there are daily,
yeah, yeah. So,
that's how I need to look at it. That's how I need to look at it. I need to
you
look
need
at
to
it.
talk to yourself, like I was
It's
saying.
actually safer to fly than it is to be on a train or in a car.
It is, yeah, it is. That's
Crazy.
I read this one article when I was young, and this lady was interviewing a pilot, and she asked him, like, "Are you ever afraid?" And he's like, "Well, the only part I'm afraid of is driving to work. Then once I'm in the plane, I'm safe."
That is true. That's how I need to look at it and think of it. And when I think of stuff like that, I'll actually be fine. And that's probably what I'm going to do now. You've kind of helped me think
Yeah.
of it like that.
Well, and turbulence is also a very normal thing. It's actually to be expected, not that something's wrong,
Mm.
and
Once
they're
I'm
designed to
once,
handle that.
once I'm on the plane, I'm normally all right. Like once you're up in the air and you're up in the air, there's nothing that can be done then, is there? Like
No.
you can't just go, oh, let me out. They're
um,
just like, yeah, no worries, open the door. Yeet.
yeah. No, I don't know. What I did on one of the trips was I discovered that Delta Airlines provides free liquor on international flights. So I got drunk as
Nice.
shit on that plane flight back home.
I think that's what
Man,
I'll have. I'll have a couple of beers before I get on just to steady my nerves.
dude, this guy was hooking me up with fucking shooters and shit. And it got bad though. And I was starting to get embarrassed because, like,
Mm.
I at that point had a pretty high tolerance of alcohol. And these little, fucking shooters of whiskey wasn't doing. I would have needed a lot more. So I would go to different parts of the plane to ask because I didn't want to just keep going up to the same person over and over again. So I go to the back, be like, "Hey, excuse me, can I have 2 Jack Daniel shooters, please?" I go like middle of the plane, get 2, go to the front, get 2, and then eventually when I got to the front, they got a little pissed because I was like in first class, and so I guess they notified the pack that I was up there, and the guy came, or when I got back to my seat, because I had asked for 2 more, and when I got into my seat, he was sitting there, not in my seat but next to it, and he was like, "Killing me, man." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, you're getting way too drunk. He's like, here, you can have these two, but you're cut off after this. I'm like, okay. And then so I put on Mulan and got pissed, fucking royally pissed that there was no singing. That was what was so awesome about Mulan. And then I went to Spotify and looked up the old songs, like from the original Mulan, and I went into the bathroom and I fucking cried. That's how I got through my flight. I'm a ridiculous piece of shit, man. But anyways, on that note, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I do think it would be cool to meet up with you guys one day.
I think it would be too.
That's like the ultimate goal, isn't it? Like you spend so much time with these people over like voice. That's all you hear is a voice, and now we're actually seeing a face to a voice. And then one day we could actually meet in person. That's got to be the ultimate goal for a lot of people that do talk to people across the world. It's that initial, you just got to try and, like you say, you just got to pick a date, pick somewhere, and everyone just save, and then just go, right, we're going to do this and do it.
Yeah. Well, it's
That's the only way.
exciting. It's exciting, and it can be a little awkward. I will warn people about that before they come, because I've met up with like 4 people now from Xbox, and it's always a little bit awkward in the middle or in the beginning, not the middle.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's always a little awkward just because you're used to the voice, but you're not used to seeing that face make that voice, and you kind of have to like get past that little initial awkward stage, and then after that it's all good. It's just like it always is, and it's fun. But like
that's why this is good, because
I agree.
It gives you that sort of common boundary of like you sort of know roughly what they. So when you first go to meet them, you know what they look like, so you know what you're looking for. You've already built a common ground together in something, and then I'm very easy with people anyway. I'm quite. If there was a group of us and there was one person that looked a bit left out, I would gravitate to that person and make them feel comfortable with everyone else and bring them into the conversation. That's just something. That's the sort of person I am. I don't know why I am like that, but I just am. So I wouldn't feel awkward at all, really. I'd probably go straight up and shake your hand. That's the sort of person I am. I always start a conversation with a man normally, just to shake the hand out of respect.
Yeah, no, I'm similar, man. I was raised, you shake a hand, you shake it firmly, and you look them in their eyes when you do it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's always stuck with me. Like, it's just, there's this one guy, this one old man at the church I used to go to. And every time I go up to him and shake his hand, he'd be like, "You call that a handshake? I call that a wet noodle. Try again." I'd shake his hand again, and he'd be like, "You can do better than that." And then I'd actually squeeze, and then he'd be like, "I'll accept it."
That's a man.
So
shake.
every single time, every week, I just go up to him and just squeeze as hard as I could to try to hurt him, so he would acknowledge my strength as a 7-year-old to this construction worker.
You will accept me.
I am a man.
Until his arm falls off.
But it's actually kind of funny when you do meet up for the first time, because I don't think I've had one that wasn't interesting in some way, like when we first meet. So the first person I met was Jack. I don't know how much interaction you've ever actually had with him, but he used to be Mean Bean. I don't know if you heard about him in the team.
I think I've heard, yeah, but I don't think I've met him.
Well, he's a really big guy. He's got some muscle, some neck tats, you know. He's in a motorcycle club.
Cool.
Pretty rough guy. Very good, nice guy, but like looks like, oh, I don't want to fuck with that guy, you know?
Yeah.
And he was also in the infantry, and he was my 2IC at the time, basically my Mohan back then. And when I started talking about joining the Army, he said, because he was also an infantryman in the Army, he's like, "Hey, if you actually go and do it, man, I will come to your graduation." was like, what? And so no shit, I graduated and he came all the way from Texas with his wife and 2 kids in a pickup truck and watched me graduate. And the thing is, the way the ceremony was like we all had to be at parade rest, go to attention or whatever, and then back to parade rest. And he was like walking around looking for me, and I'm not used to him. I only know his voice, you know. I'm not used to this 6 foot fucking 6 giant of a person, just like, where's he at? Where's he? Hey, brother, good job, man. And I'm just like, yes, thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And then when I met up with this other guy, you never met him. His name, we called him Vager. We met up in Milan. He's a college student, and he's a broke college student, of course, because he's a college student. And I was broke too, because I am not good at saving and whatever. But I did have a paycheck, so I got us fucking drunk as shit in Milan. But when he saw me, there was canals. We went to like the party part of Milan, and there's like bars and clubs on either side of the canal, and then there's like little bridges that go over. He was standing on the bridge, and he saw me, and there's like thousands of people in the streets here. Like it's fucking jam packed. It's party central, man. And so he thinks he sees me, and I'm wearing like sunglasses, and he keeps sending me pictures like, hey, is this you, man? Is this you? And he'd like take a picture of the crowd and like put a little circle around it. I'm like, no, okay, yes. He's like, damn, I'm like a sniper, man. Shut the fuck up. And then I met up with Philip or Czech over in Germany.
Yeah.
And somehow he missed me coming off of the plane. It's like I was coming out, and usually there's like a door or something that people, are coming out of, and that's like the only exit or whatever. So you know where to stand if you want to meet someone. And so he was standing there waiting for me, and somehow I had gotten out and he didn't see me, and I didn't see him. So I don't know what the hell happened. But then when we were texting, I was like, where you at, man? Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, I'm standing here waiting. And I was like, where's he at? And Chuck's one of those people that if you've seen him once, you will always know what he looks like. And I always make fun of his haircut because he has the split down the sides. And I just like to bust his chops for it because I think it looks dumb. But I saw him over there with that stupid ass haircut, bro, with the fucking hair just hanging off the sides. And I walked up behind him. I stood next to him. He like really noticed me yet, and I was like, hey man, I heard you're waiting for a fat ass American. and without missing a beat, he looked at me and he's like, yeah, I am. It's like, what?
No emotion.
Like, he recognized me, but he was just like going with it, But so far, man, I don't think I've ever had any bad experiences with anyone I've met. It's always been a blast every time I link up with someone, man. So yeah, it's always fun to meet up with people that you spent, like you said, so much time talking to, because you do build real friendships. I don't buy that whole shit that like people you make friends with on the internet are not your friends. They are, man. The only thing is you just haven't met yet. But like you guys still communicated and shared, your beliefs and ideas.
Lives.
Yeah, your lives. You shared your lives. So you're friends, man. Like you're not close together, but whatever.
I get that. Yeah, I definitely believe that myself. I'd love to meet Mahan or Ian.
Me too. It would be interesting.
I'm surprised you two haven't met because you live. Well, this is the thing. I see it as you both live in the same country, but I suppose you are. I forget how big your country really is.
Yeah, I'm basically the opposite end of Germany, from him, from your perspective.
In retrospect, yeah. Because like for me to go to see Green, it's probably about, I don't know, I'd probably say 5 hours drive.
Oh, dude, if that was the case, I would have met up with Green already. Mohan's like 10, 11 hours away.
Wow.
I would go see him if I could cut out enough time to make it worth it. Like, I don't want to drive there on a Friday night, spend half a day, come back Sunday, and then have to work. Like,
Yeah, for you two,
yeah,
you'd have to like maybe find somewhere that's in the middle and both get a flight there and just
yeah.
get a
Or
hotel.
drive.
Hotel.
I'd drive there. You know,
Mm.
I got a little Chevrolet fucking what's that damn thing? Sonic. It's like the little fucking car. I could fart in that thing and go 30 kilometers, bro.
Call you Noddy. Make way for Noddy.
And Ian, he's I was passing through Ohio to get to Tennessee from Indiana. And I actually passed right through his city. But he was working that day and it just didn't work out. We weren't able to meet up and get lunch or
Man,
anything. But
that sucks.
yeah.
No, it's got to be done. There. We'll have to arrange something. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
But yeah, man, end of December. Beginning of 2024, one of those two. We're gonna do it. I'm trying to convince as many people as I can because it's it's fun to talk about, sit around and think about and shit. But like if you don't actually save up, you're not gonna be able to go unless you already have money. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to motivate them enough to start because I know like fucking Ephraim isn't gonna just set up money aside. And he's already got the money, but I already know he's not gonna spend it if it's gonna impact his finances like seriously at all, So I'm trying to get him to save now so that we can all fucking get high and drunk as shit in Amsterdam.
I've never been to Amsterdam, so yeah, I'd give it a go.
Yeah. Green's
Don't
gonna
know
want
about
Coke. You already know that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Green's gonna want Coke. I'm gonna have to be the one that fucking babysits him. Because I
No,
don't
I'm
know
gonna
how
be
many.
babysitting you because you could be high off your tit.
Well, I don't do anything so I don't really fuck with the only things I really fuck with is shit that shakes up your mind, like weed, mushrooms. I have done
Yeah, I can't.
acid half a dozen times.
That's not for me.
Yeah, but I don't do
I was-
coke or heroin or any of the fucking crazy shit.
No. I'll stick to my beer. We'll just
Beer's
get
fun
drunk.
too,
It'll be
though.
fun. It'll be fun.
Oh yeah, I'll get shit faced with you. Fuck it, that'll be
We'll be
fun.
like middle of the night lying on a bridge together talking about life.
But are you sure that you mean drunk when you say drunk? Do we have different definitions of drunk? Is my question. Because me and Check did.
I like the merry drunk. That's how I like. I don't like to get to the point where I'm throwing up. I know
Oh,
I've taught myself to like train myself not to get that drunk. But you just
yeah.
don't know this. You just don't know the situation. Like it depends how comfortable you feel, I guess, and how the night's going. You just keep going, don't you? If you're having a good time, you're just going to carry on. But if
Yeah, man, you got to bust down that fourth wall and get
yeah,
through the vomit. Like once you get through the vomit and you're on the other side of it, you're just getting more and more fucked up. There's nothing left to vomit, you know. And even if you do, you don't care anymore. So the only driving force is to drink more.
I'm keen. That's
But
awesome.
yeah, I think we probably should wrap it up here. And I really did enjoy this, even with your shitty microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it
Yeah.
actually wasn't that bad. The audio is not that bad. It's actually good. I think it was just initially I heard the static, and that's what. Yeah. But I haven't really heard any other static. It was just at the beginning there was like a lot of static. I don't know. But
yeah, that's good.
How's staring at your phone though versus a laptop? Does it bother you at all, or does it feel normal? Or
Well, I've got it set up. I've still got the laptop open, turned off, so I've got it tilted up against it. So it's kind of like it's just a smaller screen. I mean,
yeah.
you stare at your phone all day long anyway, so it's not like it. I'm not used to it.
Okay. Well, I'm
Well,
gonna
I
go
say,
ahead
I
and
say that I'm not always on my phone, but yeah, no.
before we go, tell all of our listeners the waves upon waves of our listeners. If you had one thing that you could impose on everyone and they would do it for the rest of their life, what would it be and why?
Mm, hmm. Be kind.
All right. We'll
I
wrap it up
think,
there.
yeah, yeah, be kind.